580 Sports Talk coming to you on a Wednesday. Thank you so much for joining us. Jake LeBon, Brendan Dworzinski, Dan Lucero with you as we have got a bevy of things to talk about. We are going to talk about not a great situation over there in Manhattan and Manhappiness on the football side nor the basketball side. And that doesn't even count Tyler Perry taking care of business on step back threes.
That is the happy news.
Holy cow.
Gosh, imagine the state of things in Manhattan if that shot had rimmed out last night.
Man.
Hey, that's Time Magazine 2006 Person of the Year, Tyler Perry.
Yeah.
That's right.
I wonder if he's a Chiefs fan. We will get to some K-State news. We will talk about some Chiefs injury news for the Chiefs. My goodness. But there is some good. There is some good, folks. And it might be Nick Bolton. We'll get to that as well. We're going to hear from Andy Reid. A little salty Andy Reid today in his press conference.
Oh, yeah. Miffed Andy.
Kind of short. Normally Big Red. He really didn't say a whole lot. But kind of how he says it, you can always tell. We'll hear from Andy Reid, hear from Patrick Mahomes. We'll talk with Tim Fitzgerald. The Royals. The Royals are wheeling and dealing, man. We're cutting people. We're trading people. We're signing people on the Rule 5. We're going to be spending at least $30 million. Hello, championship. The Royals pulled me back in. No, they didn't, guys. They didn't.
I was going to say, their Rule
didn't.
5 picks bring you back in?
No, they definitely didn't.
They did acquire 2006 Time Person of the Year Matt Sauer in the Rule 5 draft today.
Well, hey, are you sure he was born?
Yes.
Yes, he is definitely older than 17.
I'm just saying, maybe you get, a young kid,
Born January 21st, 1999.
Yeah, there you go. So, lots to get to.
You're not a real sicko if you didn't listen to the live audio stream of the Rule 5 draft, which I did.
Dan, you have problems.
And audio? Did they have video of it or just audio?
Just audio.
It's just a conference call?
Just the teleconference, basically.
Dan,
Wow. They didn't even put it
really?
on video because what it is it's people walking to the podium to say, Washington passes.
Nah, man, that rules.
Tampa Bay
Dan.
passes.
The Michael Jordan gif. Stop it. Get some help.
Hey,
okay?
I knew
read it.
I knew my favorite team was going to take a player, and I knew the Royals were going to take a player, so I wanted to know.
What do I have to do to get that honor? I want to be the Royals walk to the podium guy for the Rule 5 draft. I want to walk up and say, the Royals pass. I want to know how. I want to know how I can do that.
Well, they didn't.
Well, I know they didn't this year.
Well, they did
in the future.
Well, they never had to. So you're filling out your 40-man roster with Rule 5 guys. So the Royals went into this with 39 guys on the 40-man once they took somebody that filled their 40-man roster. So they were not asked back to the podium in the second round. It was already known that they would pass.
So, lot to get to. Hit us up on our text line. As always, you can interact with us, 785-272-9429. You can go to our stream. Very simple, very easy. Go to youtube.com. Type in 580 Sports Talk. You can chat with us. Put us a little note in the comment section. Give us your viewpoint. And K-State fans, I want to know how you are feeling first and foremost. We'll get to plenty of Chiefs. We'll talk about Andy Reid, Patrick Mahomes, the injuries and all that. But right now, tough to be an OC for a sunflower school because Andy Kotelnicki.
I think it's pretty good to be them because you're getting paid a lot of money. You just got to find a moving truck.
I'm talking about, current OCs because right now they are trying to find one. Colin Klein is headed to Texas A&M as Mike Elko was the one to persuade Colin Klein to come to Aggie Nation. He is now going to be the OC for the Texas A&M Aggies. We also come to find out he turned down the Penn State offensive coordinator position. He was the number one guy for that. He said no. Then Andy Kotelnicki ended up being the guy. So shout out to Colin Klein helping out Andy Kotelnicki get a pay raise. But now Kansas State is in the situation of they got to find an OC. They have to call every single recruit that's either on offense or was recruited by Colin Klein to say, hey, please don't go. Stay here. You also have to find a new OC, an acting OC, which my guess is going to be in-house.
Probably Connor Riley, the offensive line coach.
The offensive
he
line
hasn't
coach.
been a play caller, I think, in over a decade since he was at this is how long it's been since he was at Nebraska Omaha, where they don't
2010, I believe.
where they don't have a football program anymore. But he's been with the staff. He's been the offensive line coach. He's well regarded in the building and does have, even though it's old, previous play calling experience. So that's been the guess, is that if there is an interim, it will probably be Connor Riley, or they could also, the tight ends coach. What is his name?
Yeah, it won't be Chris Kleiman. He ain't calling the plays. He's a defensive guy.
Brian Lepak is the other coach. He's been coaching the tight ends, and he may get an opportunity as well. It will probably be one of those two for the Pop-Tarts Bowl.
This is a real big deal, and the main reason why, not just because he's your OC, but just because he had kind of got the offense going a little bit. He was a big help in recruiting, Avery Johnson. We'll get to that in a second. But he's also your quarterback's coach. That is a double whammy in this situation, where you look at Andy Kotelnicki. He was not the quarterback's coach.
He was a tight ends coach.
He was the tight ends coach. Their quarterback's coach, Zabrowski, was going to be there no matter what. So you feel like your connection and the system is still going to stay the same. But when your quarterback coach leaves, that makes it a little bit different as well. Now, he said no to Notre Dame, no to Penn State, and we know the compensation that Andy Kotelnicki is getting, okay?
Mm-hmm.
I have not seen the compensation that he's going to get from Texas A&M, but this is another reason where you got to keep up with the Joneses. And it's just where Kansas State is at, even Kansas State fans, in the pecking order, because KU is below the pecking order of Kansas State when it comes to the college football, image and where you stack up, right?
Yeah.
Andy Kotelnicki as the OC going from KU to Penn State. That's a bump up. That just in stature, okay?
Right.
But also in money. The amount of money that Penn State invests in their program is greater than KU. Okay? That's not a KU you stink. That's just a simple money aspect of it. Okay. Texas A&M. I bet you Colin Klein's going to be making around, starting out, $1.8 million. He was making, I believe, $1 million at Kansas State.
No.
It wasn't.
Yeah, it was six figures. 850K.
825.
I thought it bumped up after his first year because he got a raise every single year. One of those type of contracts. And I thought it went from like $850 to $1 million this coming year, and that's what he would maybe get next year, like $850 to $9 to $1 million. Because I knew it wasn't.
Yeah, he was in the high six figures, but now you're talking about 1 point something.
Oh, it's above 1.5.
It's a substantial raise. All the reports have said he will be one of the highest paid offensive coordinators in the country, which was not the case at Kansas State.
In Kellis Robinette's write-up today in the Eagle, said he was earning $825.
Okay. I didn't know if it was, increased every single year, that type of thing. I didn't know. I knew
some contracts are written like that, but no, you make the point right, Jake. Like when we talk about like somebody who's working for a Division III or Division II school, and they get a chance to move up maybe to FCS, like Brian Wright at Penn State.
Yeah.
Pitt State head coach did an outstanding job there. Just took the job earlier this week at Northern Arizona. We view that as like, that's a step up. You got to do that.
He's going to make $500,000. Do you want to know what he was making at Pitt State?
Not that.
Maybe 150. So we're talking he got a guaranteed contract, because that's at FCS. Most Division II contracts are year to year. Whereas at an FCS school like Northern Arizona,
you're getting a contract.
That's a 5-year, $2 million contract where you get paid $500,000 a year or 4 years. Whatever. You guys get the point.
But even leaving the money aside, like that's a leap in, as you put it, like prestige or branding or your station in the sport. That you make that move from D2 to FCS. If you get a chance to go from FCS to FBS, you take that move, and nobody blames you for it.
Yep.
Who's the coach? The kid that they hired. No, man, Austin Peay's head coach was who got the job. Maybe I want to say UTEP.
Will Healy. Oh, UTEP. Oh,
yeah.
I thought you were talking about Will Healy.
Scotty Walden. Scotty Walden was coach at Austin Peay, and now he's going to be the head coach at UTEP. Like, you make that move from FCS to FBS. If you're in a group of what we've considered the group of 5, and you have an opportunity to get a job at what we've considered the Power 5 conferences, like, you make that move up. But now we are in a new age of college football where there is no Power 5. And frankly, there's not even a Power 4. There is a Power 2. There is the big leagues, and there is the rest. And the big leagues are the SEC and the Big Ten. And that's where Andy Kotelnicki and Colin Klein are going. And everyone else, no matter how good you might be in the ACC or the Big 12, you're a station below.
Do you think, and this is what I would love to know, did K-State, and if he's making $800,000, maybe $900,000 this upcoming year in 2024, did K-State try to keep him? Did K-State and Chris Kleiman and Gene Taylor and all that, did they look at and ask Colin Klein, hey, will you stay for 1.3? Like, can we give you a $500,000 raise a year? 1, can we do that? 2, will you even stay? Like, like some people are just like, look, no, I'm going to go there. I'm going to go to Texas A&M. That's what I'm going to do.
Well,
I'm sorry.
Notre Dame offered him probably something pretty similar last year. I'm sure they offered him something in the 7 figures that Kansas State wasn't going to be able to match. And Colin Klein turned that down for reasons that went beyond money. This was not a situation where he could do the same thing a year later.
And did the same with Penn State.
Yeah.
Penn State's higher on the pecking order than Kansas State. I mean, that's not an insult. I don't mean it to be. It is what it is.
Because they're in the Power 2.
Yeah.
Like, that's what it is. You are moving up a level. If you were going from the Big 12 to the Big 10 or the SEC, you are now making a similar move as if you were going from the Big Sky to the Big 12 or from the Sun Belt to the Big 12. That's the way college football is now.
I want to know what the limit would have been for Kansas State.
I was surprised he was only making that. Like,
I thought,
like, to be honest,
do you see what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
I would like to think that Colin Klein went to Chris Kleiman and said, hey, I'm going to take the job. And I would hope that Chris Kleiman would say, hey, Colin, let me find out what we can we keep you? Like, if I get your compensation to this, would you stay? I would love to know how that conversation went. Because then if you're like, hey, we can get you to 1.2, right?
Mm-hmm.
I can get you to 1.2 million, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, let's say he's making 1.5. Okay, is $300,000 difference a big enough difference for you to move elsewhere? And if the answer was no, or if it's 1.8, like you're getting a $1 million raise, I don't know if K-State can do that, which then brings me to the point of Kansas State might have to open up the checkbook if you want guys to stay. Like, this is and K-State is not a fully, I don't want to say fully funded because they are scholarship wise, but you look at the staff of a K-State program, I bet it's in the 20s, right? 21 to 29 when it comes to everything involved, recruiting coordinators, people involved in all of that, analysts and everything. Like, honestly, we can get here because somebody pull it up and let's just count just to see on their staff because they'll have everything on there.
You're talking about the assistants pool?
No, not the coaches. I'm talking about everything. I'm talking about video stuff. I'm talking about offensive analysts. I'm talking about defensive analysts, graduate assistants, recruiting help, people who do break down film, people who like the whole Megillah. Because if you look at the bigger schools, they're in the neighborhood of 50. I think Georgia, I heard, was in the 70s when the amount of people involved in the football program, okay?
We joke about all the time with Alabama, right? Like, if you're a fired head football coach of a Power 5 program, you turn up as an analyst for Alabama.
And under the list of 2023 football support staff.
Yes.
So that's like the creative people who do the Twitter graphics to
everything.
The recruiters to video. 25 people.
And so that's 25 people plus the 10 assistant coaches.
And then they've got, let's see here,
25 assistant coaches.
25 total?
25 under coaching staff, 25 under sports staff.
Okay, so they got 50, okay? The amount of money that other like Georgia's in the 80s and their staff, like they pay more money. Georgia doesn't care about basketball, right? Like they care about football. K-State might have to come to the realization of, one, we can't swim in that deep end. We can't. Like we just can't. You don't have the support staff and the money. Or if you do, then they need to start paying their OCs more to try to keep them, right? It takes money to keep good people. That we know that. Otherwise, if you could, you'd say, hey, Colin Klein, we'll give you an extra $800,000. You're going to make $1.6 million. He probably would stay. So that's my question.
But there's a money cannon that the schools in the Power 2 have now.
I understand that.
Kansas, like you're in the same situation right now if you're a fan of, like, just to pick a group of 5 program, Colorado State. Let's say you're Colorado State, you got a really good offensive coordinator. And then they want to go to, well, let's say Kansas State. And you can be upset about it and disappointed and say, gosh, I wish we could keep our offensive coordinator. He's really good. He's got a top 10 offense in the country. We should pay him whatever we want. We can't match. Yeah. We just can't, to a point, match the financial might of all those oil dollars that Texas A&M is going to throw.
And that's why I say, if you're Kansas State, you need to know that you can't be upset in this situation. Now, if you are, well, then you need to donate more money to Kansas State, because that's the one way to help. Because no one in their right, and I was surprised Colin Klein didn't go to Notre Dame. I mean, that's kind of a big deal, right? And maybe Mike Elko said, hey, you know what? And we don't know what's going on. We probably never will. But that's when it comes to Colin Klein.
Well, by the way, real quick, the Texas A&M situation is, I mean, because Texas A&M boosters are nuts. They just are.
They paid $77 million for a coach to just go away.
And there's the thing about that. So we know what Jimbo's contract was. Mike Elko got, I think it was 6 years, $42 million, or 7 years. I know $42 million was the number.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it's $7 million a year for Elko.
So we know what the discrepancy is between what Mike Elko is going to make in the next 6 years and what Jimbo was going to make in the next 6 years. So we know that money exists. It's going to go somewhere. Yeah. They're not just going to say, you know what, those boosters ain't saying, you know what, let's go give it to UNICEF. No, they're going to go give it to assistant coaches.
So now the next thing for Kansas State
UNICEF, that wasn't very nice.
We got to keep the recruits because
there's one. Let's not beat around the bush. There's one particular recruit.
And I don't know. Now, there have been also, this came out 18 hours ago. Okay. My guess is Avery Johnson knew about this a lot sooner than we did, okay? Because last night is when it came about, okay? Sure. I'm going to go ahead and tell you that the players probably knew before we did.
Sure.
So I'm going to go ahead and tell you that Avery Johnson probably knew that Colin Klein wasn't going to be there last night at 6:30. I'm just going to go ahead and say that, okay?
Probably.
He tweeted out from his Twitter handle, make sure y'all grab one of my graphic tees before the bowl game. It's a picture of him in a freaking terrific salad of hair that he's got. And it's a t-shirt that says Avery Johnson, right? You're not putting that out there if you're waddling and kind of waffling whether or not you're going to stay or go.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I think you get where I'm, you don't put this out there and then 2 days later, you're like, yeah, I'm going to go to A&M.
Also,
I don't see that happening.
Also, Texas A&M has a 5-star on board who Connor Wigman, who got injured this year. Otherwise, he would have been the guy the whole year, and he's coming back. He's got a couple more years, I think, of eligibility. Avery Johnson's not going anywhere. He's going to fight for a starting job.
So that's one thing. Number two, the majority of players play for the coaches, not the school.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? The majority of players play for the coaches. Now, in this situation, Kleiman is still there. Connor Riley's still there. His team's all that, right? So that's a help. Now, there are certain players who, if my OC is not going to be there, I'm not going to be there.
Mm-hmm. Lots of players are like that.
In this situation, it doesn't look like Avery Johnson is going to do that. That is a huge positive, okay? Don't think so when you do this and you couple everything. It sounds like, so that's the good news, is that he's not going to go anywhere. But now you got to find somebody who knows what they're doing with a quarterback like Avery Johnson. And that's the bummer part if you're a Kansas State fan right now, is that you had a quarterback who knew what to do with a running quarterback. That's why I say it's a double whammy. It's not just the guy calling the plays and the offense. It's Colin Klein ran quarterback power. Colin Klein, and maybe Avery Johnson got enough info from Colin Klein now for over a year, because he came in at the semester, that, you know what, that helped. But don't get lost in the fact that that was a quarterback who played the position not exactly the same as Avery, but similar, because he was a guy who could run it. Now, he was a battering ram every single time he ran it, and Avery's more of a speedboat. But that's kind of a tough situation for Kansas State. It really, really is. You hope now that they can bring somebody in who knows it. I don't know a whole lot of OCs who, are across the country who are within the Chris Kleiman fold. Because when you look at it, the majority of his coaches can't come from his tree, Kleiman's tree. Klanderman, Riley, Klein was not. He was an inherited one. So it's not out of the realm of possibility that they go somewhere else. Who was the DC? Scotty Hazelton.
Scotty Hazelton, yeah.
Scotty Hazelton was not part of, the Kleiman tree, if I remember correctly. He brought him in, then of course he left to go to Michigan State, and I don't know if he's still there.
No, he got fired.
Doesn't matter.
Everyone there got fired.
So kind of a big deal there.
Brandon Marcello of 24/7 Sports reported about a half an hour ago that and this is on Twitter, growing buzz is that Kansas State will promote offensive line coach Connor Riley to offensive coordinator. Nothing finalized yet.
So then you just got to find a quarterback coach. That's what you got to go do if you're Chris Kleiman. And much like it was last year or 2 years ago, remember when they fired Courtney Messingham?
Hazelton did work for Kleiman, by the way.
He did?
Yeah, for 1 year. Yeah, they spent 1 year overlapping at NDSU.
At NDSU?
Yeah.
You have to look at this is your, now if they're already going to give it to him, then it's not. But, Colin Klein got that bowl game against LSU
to prove himself.
That
was his audition.
Yes.
He was the acting offensive coordinator. And I wouldn't be surprised if this promotion that is being reported on is on an interim basis. It's, hey, let's see how Connor Riley calls a game, because we got to see what it looked like for Colin Klein, and oh my God, in comparison to what it looked like under Messingham that entire year, it was like entering it was like leaving the Stone Age.
Yep. And the bowl result, not a huge deal, but how the offense looks and the plays and all of that does matter now, because one, Avery will be taking every single snap, and it will be potentially your offense next year. I mean, the players are already gone. Like Will Howard and Treshaun Ward and all those cats are gone.
Well, it has to be Avery Johnson's offense. Like, first and foremost, you have to tailor everything around that player, that talent, and make sure that it's something he's amenable to run for the next couple of years. Otherwise, that portal starts to look really attractive.
How interesting is it? 2 OCs for the KU and K-State are getting poached. How about that?
I got to be completely honest with you. I cannot believe that KU is paying its offensive coordinator more than K-State.
And that's why I said
that's crazy
that
to me.
Might be an issue. K-State. That's why I want to know, did K-State even come back? Did K-State come back and say, Colin, we'll give you 1.3? We can't get to 1.6, but we can get you 1.3.
Well, and there's
I don't know.
There's the thing too. I wonder how close K-State would have had, because we don't know the Texas A&M number. We will. They're a public school. We will know the number eventually. But how close would K-State have been able to get in order to keep him? Because if you're turning down Notre Dame money and you're turning down Penn State Big Ten money because you want to stay with K-State and with Chris Kleiman and with this class, I mean, he must have been completely blown away by what, and that wouldn't surprise me. A&M's they have more money than Texas does, which tells you all you need to know about Texas A&M's money. But I wonder how close the two sides ended up being. It sucks. Like that's brutal to lose a guy who's so important to that program.
If you're Colin Klein too, you got the speedboat. Like, you know how much fun that would be to call plays for Avery. That'd be like calling plays with Avery Johnson at quarterback would bring me back to the day when I lined up with the in 05 and 06 college football, back when it was actually NCAA football, and I'm running the option, dropping back pass. I mean, you can do all sorts of fun stuff with a speedboat like Avery Johnson. So I think that factors in too.
The timing of it is interesting. Like, you really felt like when he turned Notre Dame down last year, you felt like it was going to have to be something that totally blew him away and was an offer that, could not refuse. And clearly that's what happened.
You know what's wild? We're a half an hour into the show and we still haven't even gotten to the fact that K-State students are literally having a protest on their campus right now about a basketball player.
Yeah.
And Naquan Tomlin just drove through it.
Who has appeared at the protest.
Yeah, he came. People were taking pictures with him in the car.
He and Tyler Perry rolled up on the free Naquan protest in front of Anderson Hall.
We're going to quick time out. We're going to discuss that coming up next here on 580 Sports Talk. Back into 580 Sports Talk. Jake, Dan, Brennan with you. We've got plenty to get to. Coming up in the 3 o'clock hour, we are going to talk a little hoops as well as some Royals baseball.
We'll get to the good news from K-State.
Yeah.
Their win last night over Villanova. KU's win over UMKC. We'll talk about some things that are good.
We'll hear from Patrick Mahomes as well. But a big factor in right now is the situation going on between really three parties. You've got the basketball side and Naquan Tomlin, who is not part of the team right now, the athletic department, and the president, Richard Linton. There was first, it was he's not part of the program. We're dealing with a season-ending injury. Then there was a glimmer of hope that, some national reporters were like, he might be coming back sooner than later. And then now it is, no, he's still a season-ending injury type of deal. It's not a season-ending injury. It involves what happened off the court.
He was arrested, charged with disorderly conduct. Back on November 15th, he applied for diversion in that case, and it was granted.
Yeah.
So that's where it stands from a legal standpoint right now. That was there was
done.
an arrest, there was a charge, diversion was applied for and received. And now Tomlin has to fulfill the requirements of that diversion program.
In order to be completely done with it, if you will. Yes.
All these players are showing up. Dorian Finister just showed up to this mini protest.
Here's what at least we know, and it's great that we're going to talk with Fitz later this afternoon at 4:30. It sounds like it is not an athletic issue. It is a president issue, is what it sounds like. A Richard Linton issue, not a athletic issue, because there like I said, there are three forms here. There's Linton, the president, Gene Taylor, your athletic director, and then Jerome Tang, your head coach. Sure sounds like Jerome Tang wants Naquan Tomlin reinstated. Kind of sounds like that. We're inferring a little bit.
Reading some tea leaves.
Yes.
But that's
what it sounds like. Now, then it goes to the man in charge of the athletic department, Gene Taylor. Don't know about Gene Taylor. We don't. But the tea leaves that we have seen, it's kind of above his pay grade, which his boss is the president. He does have final say. But my biggest issue when it comes with these type of issues, when the president is making a decision about athletics, correct me if I'm wrong, but K-State athletics is separate from the university, like their funds and everything, just like KU is, right?
Mm-hmm.
KU, you don't donate money to the University of Kansas and then the University of Kansas gives it to athletics, right? It's not how it works. You give your money to the KU athletic department. You give the money to the K-State athletic. They are separate entities, okay?
Mm-hmm.
If that's the case, who's the one in charge of the athletic departments? The ADs. I can't stand when presidents interfere with athletics. You have one job as a president when it comes to athletics. Your job is to hire the man in charge of the athletics. Then, you know what you do? You're the biggest cheerleader of the school. That's what you are. As a president, you cheer on. And if something goes wrong, it is the athletic director's job to make those decisions. That's why you hired him or her. Don't care who it is. The problem I have now is you are undermining every single person in the athletic department. Now, Gene Taylor doesn't have final say. I don't know what Gene Taylor thinks. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Your job then, if you don't like what the athletic department is doing, you don't make a change. You say to the athletic director, either you make a change and if you say you don't, then if you are that strong, then you fire the athletic director and then you become the athletic director. Or in this situation, apparently get a puppet that wants you to do everything that the president wants. Your job, make the hire. Then the athletic director, if he screws up, then you can say, wow, that was your decision. And we all know you make certain decisions and you make the wrong decision. Guess what? You're gone. And we've seen this a lot of different ways. You want to know a perfect example of this who screwed up? Bernadette Gray Little. Perfect example of getting too involved in the athletic department. The way that she handled, the athletic, we're going to do this, we're going to do this. The reason why they had to hire David Beatty is because she wouldn't give the athletic department the okay. Like, they wanted to go hire somebody else, but they had to choose David Beatty because she was like, no, we ain't doing that.
I am going to bite my tongue about Bernadette Gray Little, but yes, you are correct.
But the overall, and that's my issue right now with the K-State athletic department. We don't know enough information that is fully on record, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Don't know.
But you hire people to do a job.
Exactly.
And if you're not going to trust those people to do the job the correct way or in lockstep with what you believe your mission for the university should be, then I would say, okay, why did you just give Gene Taylor a long contract extension then? That's my first question, is if you are not going to give the autonomy to the guy you hired to get this done right, and also let's not forget, Jerome Tang also got a contract extension. If you're not going to let them do their jobs and trust them, because you're right. Like, if it comes out, he gets reinstated, total hypothetical here, it's something worse than what we know right now, and there is going to be some sort of legal intervention, Title IX intervention, whatever, then okay.
Then that's on Gene Taylor and that's on Jerome Tang.
And you deal with
be gone.
And you deal with the fallout of that. But you have got to be, from my perspective, in a position where you're willing to say, we have an athletic director to deal with directing our athletic department. He's got to be the one to make the right call.
Who, by the way, has made some tremendous hires and
he's a great
decisions
AD.
and done everything.
Yes, Kansas State athletics has gone to another level under Gene Taylor, and I would think that would gain him a little bit of capital. I would think that Jerome Tang would have a tremendous amount of capital, not just his impact on the basketball program, the men's basketball program, his impact on the culture at Kansas State. How long were they trying to get the students to stop chanting FKU during Wabash? Jerome Tang did it in a week.
He did it in a week.
He
did it in a week.
He got that done. So I would think there would be a lot of capital, a lot of credence given to their opinions. And in retrospect, there are some things that stand out about it now that we went from Jerome Tang indefinitely suspending Naquan Tomlin to now saying they're going to treat it like a season-ending injury. That tells you that the process is out of Jerome Tang's
and
hands,
right now,
at least as he sees it.
And I know social media is a very small amount of K-State fans, but right now there is a lot of people in that area, that corner, who are worried now that if this keeps going, that they're going to lose their head coach.
That if this becomes a power struggle, Jerome Tang won't bother fighting it. Because if there are disagreements between administration and a sports program, that's usually the outcome, right? Like, it doesn't end well for the program. It doesn't end well for the people in charge.
K-State fans know that all too well.
Yes.
Because of what happened 12 years ago.
Yeah.
Around there.
And there are enough people who I personally respect who are going to bat and saying, hey, it's time for Naquan Tomlin to be able to play. It's time for this to be over. It's time for him to be able to return to the court, play with his teammates, and represent the university. There are enough people with that opinion who I respect. And the fact that the students, that was the thing that was really jarring last night. It's one thing for like one guy on social media or one prankster to hold up a free Naquan on his phone in the background of a pregame Jumbotron shot. But for the whole student section to chant, "We want Naquan" during a timeout last night, there must be enough out there in the wind for people to feel comfortable saying whatever was done, whatever occurred, there has been enough punishment for it, and this person should return to the floor. Because if it were more severe, I personally think Jerome Tang is the kind of guy who would not stand behind a player who did something egregious, who did something that is indefensible, more than just getting into a scrape at the bar.
And now the more public it gets, and Jerome Tang hasn't gone like super public, but
he's biting his tongue, which is the play. Like, that's what you should do.
The other individual who hasn't said is Gene Taylor, because to me, once Gene Taylor says something, and maybe his silence is saying something, because if he really did back President Litton's, and this is assuming it's President Litton, we don't know for sure. Let's say it is, right? Then Gene Taylor not backing his president, that's telling. Let's say this is a Gene Taylor situation. I don't know. I have no idea if maybe Gene Taylor is the one saying, no, he's not playing. And if that's the fact, maybe that's the individual.
But
I don't
if
know.
that were the case, you'd have an outpouring of frustration with Taylor, not the outpouring of frustration you're getting with Anderson Hall and with President Linton right now.
But maybe, we know how a lot of information can get misguided and misconstrued and led the wrong way. I don't trust, certain, mob mentalities.
Right. Well, I will.
But if it is Gene Taylor, then to me, the athletic director needs to come out and say, look, this is my decision.
I will say this, and in some stuff, you're right. I mean, especially with social media, and you just see a picture or an image or a tweet or whatever, and people glom onto it. But I mean, our good pal Fitz, who's going to talk to us coming up in less than 2 hours, he has been pretty staunch in his opinions and what he is hearing about this situation, and it doesn't sound great as it currently stands.
Yeah, and that's the number one question: is this a Litton decision or is this a Gene Taylor decision? Like, that's what we need to know, because if it's Gene Taylor, now we got a real problem.
Yeah.
Because if it is Gene Taylor, and hey, if he decides that, you know what? I respect Gene Taylor a lot.
But
so if it's Gene Taylor, I'm like, now we really got a power
but
struggle.
he's in between that rock and a hard place,
Well,
right?
which
is why we haven't heard from him in all likelihood.
Yeah.
He might be caught in between.
But I'm saying if it's Gene Taylor saying no, now you got the same situation that we had 12 years ago. John Currie, the AD, Frank Martin, the head coach. Then to me, it's not as big of a deal, coach to AD, if it's Litton being the one who's got the final say, as opposed to, because if it is Litton, then you got an AD and a coach. They're together. They're together then. But if it's an AD and a coach, then that is the true power struggle to me. It all depends on where we lie with Gene Taylor. I really do think that.
I would like to hear from him. I understand why we haven't.
Hear from anybody at this point.
Well, yeah, that's true. Yeah, a statement from the president would be useful as well. Although people are mad now, I bet they'd even be more mad after that.
But at least you could clarify stuff.
Yeah.
Because when you don't have transparency,
exactly.
you get students demonstrating on your lawn.
What is always worse than the crime?
The cover-up.
The cover-up.
Yeah.
The cover-up is always worse than the crime. Come on. Coming up next, we got one gotta go. One gotta go here on 580 Sports Talk. We're gonna go with the NFL world. Alrighty, the AFC playoffs for the final wild card spot. That's what I want to start off with. Okay. One gotta go. Okay. The Houston Texans, the Denver Broncos, the Indianapolis Colts, the Pittsburgh Steelers. One gotta go.
So I'm taking one of these teams as the final wild card,
No.
Dismissing one of them as a contender.
Dismissing one of them as a contender.
I'm dismissing the Denver Broncos. They're an entirely fake team. I saw this.
I could have answered that one.
I saw this stat yesterday. The Broncos in their last 8 games have thrown for 1,241 yards, I believe it is. I'm going to try and find the exact stat, but it's grim. In their last 8 games, they have thrown for just over 1,248 net passing yards. That is the fewest for the Broncos in an 8-game span since their last 8 games of 2011. Jake, name the 2011 Denver Broncos starting quarterback.
That would be I'm gonna do be Tim Tebow.
Correct.
No, here.
They have taken their passing game back to the Tim Tebow era.
Okay. No, I get that.
And they don't have a Von Miller type pass rusher on the other side. Their defense is entirely based on forcing turnovers.
How dare you say that about Nick Bonito?
If they don't do that, they're fake.
The reason I bring that up is I think that it comes down to two. What's your answer, Brandon? Is it Denver?
What are the four again?
They are.
I heard Broncos, and I knew Dan was going to go there. So.
They're the four teams right now that are.
So 7 through 10 is that?
Pittsburgh,
okay,
Colts, Texans, Broncos.
And this is to make the playoffs or to do anything in the playoffs?
No, this is just get rid of them. Not a real contender.
Yeah, they're not a real contender.
Okay, yeah, I'd probably go Denver too.
The only team that I will say got issues now. That's Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh's got a 1-game lead on the Denver Broncos right now. Okay.
I would have put Pittsburgh next. I think the thing that keeps them alive, though, they've got the best head coach of the group.
No, and that's why it's a fun.
Sure.
But they play the Patriots, the Colts, the Bengals, the Seahawks, and the Ravens left. I'm not gonna lie to you, I can see them losing. If they don't beat the Patriots coming up tomorrow, they ain't getting in. You have to beat the Patriots. And if you beat the Patriots, that gets you to 8 wins. But I think we found out that the Colts kind of for real. I think we found out that the Bengals, not a pushover because they got dudes everywhere.
Yeah, they'll fight still.
Yeah. And then the Seahawks on the road and then the Ravens on the road. Now, they might benefit from the Ravens because the Ravens might not be able to go up or down that game, depending upon what happens with the Chiefs.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not saying that the Steelers are completely, right now they're the 5 seed. Mm-hmm. They could be the 8 seed very easily.
Yeah. All right, one got to go. I'm giving you 4 pasta sauces. One's got to go. Bolognese. That's what I thought. Marinara, Alfredo, pesto.
Alfredo gone.
Wow.
Don't like white sauces as a general rule.
Okay. All right.
I don't think I've ever had bolognese, so I'm gonna go with that one.
I'm going bolognese too. I like a good meat sauce, but
what is that? I don't even know.
It's a meat sauce. Yeah,
it's a meat sauce.
Red meat sauce.
Marinara, so versatile. I like a real heavy American Italian Alfredo.
I do too.
Yeah, major food faux pas, I guess. That's not real Italian. I don't care, dog. It's so good. And then I like pesto. Not often. I can't do pesto every time, but I like a good pesto.
It's been a long time since I've had pesto, and I probably had enjoyable Alfredo more recently than I've had any kind of pesto. So I can probably say pesto gone without but I just don't like Alfredo.
I get that.
Just not my favorite.
My wife makes a really good salmon pesto pasta. Really good.
All right, one got to go. Food bars, salad bar, taco bar, potato bar, dessert bar. One got to go.
Okay, I've never had a potato bar, but that sounds delicious. I love anything potato. I'm getting rid of a salad bar. I'd rather eat all of those other things than a salad. So
the problem is that I'm gonna go with the potato bar, and here's the reason why. How often do you have a potato bar?
Not often enough.
That's why I'm getting rid of the potato bar. I do like a salad. I like a salad bar, right?
Make
Good
your own salad.
Yeah, I like a salad bar.
Yeah, just eat grass.
Feeling like you're making a healthy choice.
No, but it's just so much more readily available. When was the last time, Brandon? You even said you never had a potato bar, and you're but
the idea of it sounds great. I'm not asking what am I going to go eat tonight. I'm just saying what sounds better.
So I'm getting rid of the potato bar. I have the potato bar, that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. But those don't happen very often. So I'm going to go with the potato bar.
I love tacos, but they can be a bit messy. So the taco bar is kind of always iffy for me because they just kind of makes a mess. Love a baked potato bar. Salad bar is probably out for me. It doesn't speak well to my diet, but it's out for me.
Yeah, I like a good salad.
Oh, wow. Sick. Some lettuce.
I'd rather have dessert than salad at the end of the day.
Coming up, we got a lot more to get to. We'll hear from Andy Reid, Patrick Mahomes, all that coming up. 580 Sports Talk, hour number 2 on this Wednesday. Thank you so much for joining us. Jake Levon along with Brendan Dorzinski, Dan Lucero with you. We've got lots to discuss. We will hear from Patrick Mahomes. We'll hear from Andy Reid today in the 3, 4, or 5 o'clock hour today. Also, Tim Fitzgerald will join us, talk a little K-State coming up in the 4 o'clock hour. We'll get some Chiefs injury news. Big Red did talk about the injuries today, so we'll get to that coming up in the 4 o'clock hour. We'll talk some Royals baseball. The Royals making money moves. That's right.
No, they're not.
Making money moves. Spending big bucks on Rule 5 people.
In the sense that, I mean, literally they have to spend some money to do it.
Yeah, making money moves.
Yeah, it costs money to go to Nashville for the winter meetings.
They had to pay for plane tickets, I guess.
No, they had to. They signed Rule 5 guys.
They might have taken the Greyhound bus.
You think they fly commercial?
Got to save that money for a new stadium.
Scouts, 100%.
Oh, that.
Yeah.
Do you think? No, I think they flew. Delta, United. I don't think that. Do you think they fly private from Nashville's only an hour and a half flight?
I don't know that any team executives are flying private to the winter meetings.
Yeah, I don't think so. Maybe Cashman.
Yeah, maybe the Yankee GM.
I don't know. I couldn't tell you.
I don't think so.
I bet you.
They're not.
Man,
like,
JJ Picoult's sitting in a middle seat in Southwest. That's what he's doing. That's what he's doing. He's section like C-34, and he's sitting middle seat in the back.
Flew Allegiant, had a stopover in Tampa on his way to Nashville.
I bet Chris Getz, the new GM for the White Sox, probably did. He probably rode with Jerry Reinsdorf on his way to go negotiate moving the team to Nashville.
We know this. What Chris wants.
Chris Getz.
Boo. I knew where that was going. I still hated it.
We got plenty to get to. Let us know your thoughts, K-Staters. It's been a wild day for you. If you didn't know last night, you woke up this morning, Colin Klein's gone. Now you got protests from on your campus about the basketball team going on right now. You've got multiple players putting out social media posts. You've got your coach who's not defending anybody, but kind of laying low. The AD hasn't said a word, and there's people everywhere, including on campus, who are not happy with the president of Kansas State right now. Like it's not great. It isn't right now. K-State needs to pull a Bill Snyder. Need to calm the waters. Need to calm the waters a little bit. If you got a text, let us know your thoughts. 785-272-9429. Give us your opinion if you're a K-Stater. How do you view this? The more and more it comes out that if this is a president issue, well, then to me, the president is dipping his toe in an area that he shouldn't. Not a lot goes well when you meddle. When you get involved in it, not a lot goes well.
And there's a lot riding on this too. And I don't mean to be super, Chicken Little, the sky is falling here, but if President Richard Linton doesn't budge at all, and he's going to stand firm no matter what, we're talking hypotheticals here. I mean, if you're the head coach, how do you feel about that? Like, I wanted this guy to play. I believed he should play. My athletic director maybe believed he should play. I'm not going to speak for Gene Taylor, and then I wasn't allowed to have one of my best players. Why? Like, how would that make you feel? It wouldn't make me feel good.
That's why. And K-State fans got some scar tissue built up here.
Yes.
Yeah.
They got some scar tissue because what went down with one of the people that they like. In Frank Martin, and when he left K-State to go to South Carolina, you're like, bro, that ain't even a lateral move.
No, it really isn't.
That was a step down, and it was just now That's
that
a long
Final
ways
Four
away.
bought him like 4 more years.
Yeah, now he's the coach of UMass, I believe.
Yes.
Hey, 4-1 to start the season.
Second year at UMass. Yeah.
So yeah, not a lot of good stuff right now, except for you guys laughed at me yesterday. I should have pulled up the audio. Said, guys, this is gonna go to another overtime, and both of you looked at me like, no, this ain't going to overtime.
Okay.
It went to overtime.
In my defense, no, I was not going to guess that something would happen for the first time in literally 60 years. 1964 is the last time that K-State went to 3 straight overtime games.
So 59 years.
59.
Not literally 60.
You both
Literally
said,
in the neighborhood of 60.
Jake said no. You guys said no, Jake, that's not going to happen. I said, well, what if they do? You can bet on it. And you were like, no, it's not going to happen. I said, I could. And it
Why don't
did.
you go bet on a fourth one? Why don't you go hit up DraftKings?
I might.
Go hit up FanDuel.
I might. When do they play next?
Saturday at LSU.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Hey, you ready for this?
Put your money where your mouth is.
Hey. K-State should hope they go to overtime.
Because they don't lose in overtime.
Yeah, man, I got to tell you what. I told you yesterday I would take the Cats outright. I should have taken the Cats outright when they were underdogs on the money line. I didn't. I should have.
You know who did?
Did you?
This guy did.
Good call.
Yeah.
Right. Well done.
You're welcome for the tip.
Well, you didn't really give me the tip. I saw it, announced it, and was like, that's not bad. But K-State got
Fine, I won't take credit.
K-State came away with the win. There is 2 things that I took away from that game. 3 things. One, you hope that was the Arthur Kaluma breakout game because, damn, that guy played awesome. His Euro step is one of the smoothest and slowest Euro steps that I have ever seen. That 1 Euro step, I mean, it looked like he was taking off from Manhattan and going to Marysville and then dumping over to like Bern and then laid it up and in. But he was terrific. And you hope that's the game that got him going.
26 points.
Excellent.
9 rebounds. He had 17 in the first half. Villanova did a little more to take him away in the second half. And I think K-State's probably got to run more stuff for him in those situations because that game he looked, and I'm far from the first person to make this connection because it's only natural because this is whose roster spot he essentially took. But that was a Keontae Johnson-like game from Arthur Kaluma on both ends. That was big time.
And the second thing is that Tyler Perry is going to have games where he's not great because he was not very good. But and there are times where he looked like Javon Carter against Texas A&M or Gonzaga or whoever it was, just hunting for the hero shot at the end of regulation. That was real bad. That was hero ball to the max. Couldn't get free.
We did get the switch, and he's not a very big guard.
No,
he's only 5'11". Bigger guards can lock him up in those spots.
But the one thing that I will have about him is he ain't afraid. He got that DB short-term memory, right? He got that what happened at the end of regulation? Yeah, that was like 3 weeks ago. That didn't bother me none. And then just had one of the prettiest step back threes that I have seen. I mean, and it was like when I talk about going hero ball, when you have a chance to really hunt it, like he tried to hunt it at the end of regulation, wasn't there. He should have passed it up, but he got free, and that was a terrific shot. A wide open look for a career 40% 3-point shooter is a tremendous shot. And it was perfect because he got his defender just on his heels, 2 steps back, and when he let it go, I said, they just won the game. Like that, you knew that was going in. That good of a look from a guy who's hit a ton of big shots already. I didn't even hit the rim. So Tyler Perry has the closing gene. And you're going to, if K-State fans, you're going to have to deal with sometimes he ain't going to get it off. But when he does, right now, he's 3 of 4. You know, the one time he didn't get it off, it went to overtime. But how many big threes has he already hit this year? He hit a big 3 against Providence, big 3 against North Alabama, and a game-winning 3 against Villanova last night. He was excellent. The other thing is K-State can't guard dribble penetration. They can't guard dribble penetration. Every time Villanova wanted to get to the hoop, they got to the hoop.
Well,
they have got to stop dribble penetration.
That wasn't so much, I don't think, about like lack of quickness or defensive effort. Is they just don't big guards. Like they don't.
I don't care if you're big guards, small guards, little guards.
Bigger
whatever.
guards are going to be able to bully. Like
then they got to
Perry at 5'11". Yes, they don't.
They got to do something else because they are allowing way too much dribble penetration.
I agree with you. I think that a lot of it, again, is like TJ Bamba at 6'5", bodying up Tyler Perry late in the game, or going to work on Day-Day Ames, who's 6'1", or Cam Carter even is only 6'3". Bigger guards are going to give them trouble being a little bit more physical on the dribble drive. K-State's going to have to defend the paint better than they have, but I thought last night was a step in the right direction for them, at least making it hard on the shot. Even if teams are getting to the rim, Villanova was only 12 of 35 on 2-pointers last night. That's yeoman's work on the defensive end for a team that, I agree with you, that is going to be a weakness for them. The weaknesses are weaknesses. That's just what it's going to be for Kansas State. They don't have a lot of size in the backcourt. They are young right now with the guys that they got coming off the bench, and they don't have like a great inside scorer or a great inside rim protector. So they just got to work hard and contest shots as best they can. And last night, I thought they made strides in a positive way, where I thought they made it harder on Villanova to score on the interior than they made it on Oral Roberts and North Alabama. Back to your point about Perry, I thought his confidence had taken a hit last night. He shot that air ball out of the corner in overtime. He shot a 3 out of the corner, and he missed everything.
Is that in front of the bench?
Yes.
Yeah.
And then the ensuing Villanova possession, he committed a foul. And that's right on the end where I'm sitting at when I'm at games at Bramlage. And I saw his head drop. Like, I saw a look, like, that look where it's like, man, it is just not my day. He was 1 of 9 from 3 at that point. And David Gasson came over and put his arm around him. And the K-State players, they usually huddle after fouls or when there are stoppages of play. So that's not like a totally unique thing. But Gasson saw what I saw, I think, and went over and he told Tyler Perry, hey, man, pick your head up. And he had the confidence to take that one last shot. He got a big switched on him. Tyler Perry may struggle with bigger guards who are quick enough to stay with him, but he is going to eat bigs alive if he can get the switch on those step backs. He'll get it anytime he wants, and he'll make it a lot. Like,
that was such a good shot.
You're 1 for 9. I'm going to be 2 for 10. Like, he had that belief in the big moment that mattered, and that's not everybody. Not everybody has that in him. Like you said, that's the closer gene that he's got.
That was fun.
I feel like there's an equal amount, like 50-50 pessimism or optimism view of where K-State is right now. The optimistic view is, I mean, even in the face of adversity, like Perry last night, he was bold enough to come up and make that shot and had the short memory in order to make that shot. And they've won tough games. They've won against a variety of opponents. They've shown toughness, and that's a good thing as we get closer to the games that really matter. The pessimistic side is that's 3 consecutive, and Villanova is probably on a similar-ish footing. I think K-State's ceiling is higher than Villanova this year.
Villanova's ranked 34th in KenPom. I'm surprised they're that high. That's a good win.
Well, they've got good wins. Like, they beat UNC, they beat Memphis. Like, they have good wins. It does bear noting that they lost their second leading scorer, Justin Moore, to injury midway through the first half.
Yeah.
And that sucks. I'm not a believer in that Villanova team this year. But again, like 3 straight overtime games and a couple against teams you shouldn't have gone to OT against. I think it's all a matter of perspective with where you are with K-State, because 7-2, you can't really argue with that record, but
they are a work in progress.
Yeah.
And like, again, that might mean that their ceiling is lower than you'd like, but it also might mean that they benefit from playing in these close games when you get to Big 12 play, because Villanova is the caliber of team you're going to see night in, night out in the Big 12. And you can find a way to get up off the mat after you give up a 6-0 run to end the game and your 6-point lead in the final 3 minutes, you end up going to overtime. And if you can get up off the mat trailing early in overtime, down 4 with a minute to go, and find a way to win that game, then you have the confidence and the belief. And those are the things that Jerome Tang talked about in his post-game remarks. We believe in each other and we don't get rattled. He says those are the 2 things about this team. We have belief that we're going to get the job done, and we don't scare.
And I guess to swing it toward the positive things is, if you are a work in progress and you are trying to work through things and you're missing a key player and all these other things, you'd rather show the toughness and win than not and have it go the other way.
And the one thing that you just have to do in the non-con, you got to stack wins, and that's what matters.
Yeah.
And right now, if you look at K-State's schedule, they take on LSU.
It's LSU, Nebraska, and Wichita State. And their final 3 non-con games.
LSU's Ken Palm ranking is 94, so that should be a win. Chicago State's like 80,500. Wichita State.
Oh, I forgot about the Chicago State game.
102.
The ones you mentioned are all before Chicago State.
Yeah.
That's not until January.
And so if you don't lose another non-conference game, LSU, Nebraska, and then Chicago State,
Wichita State too,
and Wichita State.
Yeah, 4 games left. You win them all. You're 11-2.
Then you are Wichita State. Where's that on their schedule?
It's not listed on ESPN. I don't know why. I saw that last night. I'm not sure why. Wichita State's 102 in Ken Palm right now, though.
Nebraska is 61. Okay.
I'm excited for that Wichita State game. I think that's going to be a fun test for both of those programs.
If you win those 4 games,
you're fine.
And you got 11, and you're 11-2 in your non-con, and no bad losses. And it's not like their non-con was just garbage.
Mm-hmm.
No,
they ended up with some decent games.
Nebraska, LSU. Like if you're playing teams in the 70s and the 80s, like you did with Nebraska and Villanova and Miami, Providence isn't like that's a good base.
Mm-hmm.
It really is.
Like you didn't lose those games to Oral Roberts. You didn't lose to North Alabama.
Like Villanova lost to Drexel.
You didn't do that. You didn't. Yeah, you don't have one of those on your resume.
KU played
and won.
Yeah. They played with their food the entire game.
Yeah, and that was the annoying part. Like, they committed the dumbest turnover of all time late in the second half. KJ Adams went out of bounds to inbound it, tossed it to Elmarco Jackson, who was completely unaware that KJ was inbounding the ball. He thought he was giving it to him to inbound, so he caught the ball inbounds and just stepped out of bounds and turned it over. Like, they messed around so much. But then, 3:50 left or whatever, the final media timeout.
When they want to turn on, they did.
They turned it on. They went on a 13-2 run.
Okay, the only question I have about the entire game is this. Can you get under Hunter Dickinson's skin?
Yeah. Go ask every single Big Ten program.
No, I'm not trying to be like mean. Like,
no,
no,
you're not being mean. No, that's absolutely the concern with Hunter Dickinson is that
and that's what happened last night.
He can be a tool, and you can get under his skin. He had the dumbest flagrant foul I can remember seeing.
And the reason why was because I did watch a little bit. I said I wasn't going to watch a single second of it.
Look, you came crawling back.
Oh, I did. And I did. I caught the time where Hunter Dickinson was pushing and shoving because, UMKC.
They would have called offensive pass interference.
I'm the tallest guy on UMKC's team. And they didn't have anybody to guard Dickinson. So what do?
You prod him.
You poke him in the ribs and you knee him and you elbow him and you hip check him and all that. And he got fed up with it.
Man, I had someone in my mentions when I said that was a really stupid play by Dickinson. They said, no, you got to defend yourself. They're pushing him all game. He never gets a call. Dog, if you give a 2-handed straight arm push to a dude 4 inches shorter than you, you're lucky they didn't call a flagrant 2. That was dirty as hell. He was
frustrated.
You are you're at Kansas, dude, like that. And not that he's new to big time basketball. And he knows. I'm not saying this to Hunter Dickinson, but that bothers me. I'm not going to tell you to be a fan. It bothers me, though, when your favorite team never does anything wrong. That kind of fan bothers me. It was a dirty-ass play. You can't do that.
This is my question for KU. And, Brendan, you can handle this having observed last night's game and some of the other ones this year for Kansas. It seems anecdotally like this group is having a little bit more trouble. And maybe that's not the right way to put it. But they're not blowing out. They're not having blowout wins in these bye games. Like Eastern Illinois kept it close for all 40 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
UMKC was within 8 at the under 4 timeout. The bye games are closer than they ought to be. Why is what is the underlying reason for that at this point, do you think?
I think there's a couple things. One, they just don't shoot threes. And that's the easiest way, right? You just get on a heater against a team that can't match up defensively, physically, and you just shoot them out of the gym. And that's part of the reason. The other reason is I think the disparity between the top of this roster and the bottom of this roster is even more stark than last year, which is concerning because right now you've got 6. You've got 6 guys who you rely on. It's your starting 5 and it's Johnny Furphy. And some people might want Furphy in over Marco Jackson, but if you look at the advanced numbers, all of KU's most efficient lineups are with Jackson out there because he's one of your best athletes and he's really fast. And he's still growing as a player, so that's fine. So you've got those 6. After that, though, there's no one who's playable right now. Like Parker Brown was on the floor for a couple minutes after Dickinson got put on the bench for that flagrant foul, but Brown didn't do anything in that game. Timberlake is unplayable, and they tried to keep him in the game longer yesterday because we're playing UMKC. You can't play, man.
Well, you just got to you have to shoot 3, and he was 1 of 5.
Well, I saw this today. Someone who knows the KU program fairly well, who said he's like a worse Joe Yesufu, in which the problem isn't necessarily not having skill, but it's just like to be a Division I athlete. I mean, you know this. You played at a high Division II level. Like you've got to be kind of different to get it. Like some guys just don't get it, and that's the reason why some guys have to transfer down, or why some guys have to go from high major to mid major, or high major to like barely high major. Like Yesufu went to Washington State, which is not a very good basketball program. Like some guys just don't get it at this level, or they just don't get it with this coaching staff. And it sounds like Timberlake at this point just doesn't really get it, which is one thing if you're Marco Jackson, who is 18 years old and is just such a crazy athlete, you can live with the mistakes because he adds something, and a 6th-year senior who's 23 or 24. Like you can't really live with that. So you end up in a situation, Dan, like last night, where when it's McCullough and Dickinson and Adams and Harris and either Jackson or Furphy, you can run them off the floor. And that's what KU did at the end of the game. They said, let's just get the hell out of here. They went on that run. They put their foot on their throat and got it over with. But when you sub in, okay, Harris is going to sit, McCullough's going to be your number 2 point guard, and then you're putting in Timberlake, and you're going to put in Brown at the same time, and you throw in McDowell or whoever as your other guy off the bench, they can't do anything at all. At least McDowell, when he's out there, he's a good energy guy, and he's going to play some defense for you. He can provide you that, but their starters are going to get so worn down if you're going to go 6 deep through the Big 12 season. That's why when we hear about, oh, you don't need a deep bench in March. Right. I mean, KU won a national title with 7. They played against the North Carolina team that was running 6 and barely 6.
They needed that 7th.
Well, yeah, no kidding.
One down.
Yeah.
But you need to get through the Big 12 season. Yeah. You got to have at least 7 or 8, because otherwise Dickinson's going to be worn down to nothing. McCullough and Harris might play 40 minutes for like 20 games.
We got the Devontae Graham ism.
Right.
Or,
but
the Devontae Graham playing plan.
Which is, it's one thing when you've got Mason and Graham who are doing that, but you've also got 3 guys off the bench who can contribute. KU doesn't have that. They're running 6 deep, and that's it.
Man, that KU win over UConn's gonna look better and better. Man, UConn's really good. They I know the score was only an 11-point margin, but they really cooked North Carolina yesterday. That was a good effort, man.
Yeah, they were in control that whole game.
KU's schedule's really good, man. Holy cow. What's their schedule?
Well, there's the other part of it, too. You had last week, everyone's looking ahead to UConn. Mm-hmm. This week, you're still trying to recover from that UConn game, and you're looking ahead to Missouri.
Their schedule's
right. So these bye games are in like overlook spots. Like
yes.
We're going to approach these with the intensity level of like a 40-minute YMCA run.
Yep.
And just out talent these dudes and get out with a win. And,
mm-hmm.
But it's troubling that to do that, they're having to lean so heavily on, like last night would have been a great game to only play Hunter Dickinson like 25 minutes
mm-hmm.
and play a bunch of Parker Brown. Or last night would have been a good night to get Kevin McCullough off his feet at the under 8 and not play him again.
No kidding.
But
no kidding.
They can't do that. They can't do that right now.
I will say this, though, right now, and they won't both be All-Americans in all likelihood, but like if McCullough and Dickinson play the way they've been playing, they are both All-American caliber players.
Yeah.
McCullough is playing out of his mind.
And he had back-to-back triple doubles already.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
New career high last night, 25 points.
For real. Coming up next, we'll talk a little Royals baseball. Yeah. Let's talk a little Royals. Royals baseball. The Royals had tied for the best odds to get the first pick in the Major League Baseball draft. They're picking 6th. That sucks.
That's tough.
Second worst record, you end up picking 6th.
Yeah. Now,
with 2 teams in your own division picking ahead of you.
Yeah. Here's the thing. You're not going to hear me cry a whole lot about that simply because the Royals have made a lot of bad decisions. Okay. And they're not putting any money into the team. Like if you put money into the team and then you get it a bad draw, I get it. So I'm not gonna be, super crying about this.
Mm-hmm.
But I will say the best way for I hate lotteries. I hate draft lotteries.
I agree with you.
I think they're absolutely stupid. You want to stop tanking, do it elsewhere. But the whole goal for a sports league is to try to get your bad teams good so they're competitive. The best way to do that is not via a draft lottery. If your answer for tanking is a draft lottery, then you're asking the wrong questions, me personally. If you don't think there's a difference between drafting 2nd and drafting 6th, I give you Bobby Witt Jr.
Mm-hmm.
Let's say Bobby Witt Jr. is in this draft and he and Adley Rutschman are in this draft. If you're selecting 3rd, you are at a big disadvantage. The Royals are selecting 6th. Rob Manfred sucks at his job. I am, and have you noticed it over the last year? My confidence in everything involving the game of baseball is at an all-time low. One, because my baseball franchise can't do anything right over the last 7 years. And the sport of baseball, although making a few changes, the pitch clock, I have no problem to admit. Like if we did a year in review, my biggest on second thought was the pitch clock. I will take a full-on gigantic L on that. That has worked great. I was so wrong. So wrong. That was good. But everything else the way they've handled is so bad, and I think the draft lottery is terrible. That sucks for the Royals. But also, spend money. Don't put yourself in that position. They traded Dylan Coleman today.
They did. Dylan Coleman traded the Houston Astros.
Yeah. And we got essentially, you ready for this? Cole Reagans in return. Okay, maybe not.
They got
okay.
a 19-year-old kid who I don't even think has been stateside yet. But no.
He threw 8 innings, struck out 12 guys, I was told by the Royals.
So they did that to clear space on the 40-man roster so they could make a pick in the Rule 5 draft, which was earlier today. They selected a right-handed pitcher out of the Yankees system named Matt Sauer, who struck out 11 guys per 9 in 17 outings, 16 starts over 3 levels this past year, and the highest level being Double-A. Now, he is 24. He probably should be dominating Double-A at the age of 24, but he did.
So he's just putting a big, giant cold water on that.
No, like, it's good that he dominated Triple-A and that he did so while striking out a bunch of guys. Like, power arm, live arm. Royals have had some Rule 5 success in recent years. Brad Keller being the most obvious example before, obviously, last year he lost his command. But in the years before that, pretty reliable starting pitcher. And maybe Matt Sauer can be that for the Royals moving forward. But that's essentially what they did. They moved on from Dylan Coleman, who throws extremely hard and has as much idea where it's going as I do about the price of tea in China, which is to say no clue whatsoever. And in exchange, they were able to make a Rule 5 pick. This has been Talking Royals.
Go find me a player who's going to make a play this season. Go find someone who's going to do something for you this year.
Right now, actually, Dan, the price of tea in China, 58.36.
Cool.
58.36 what?
It just says 58.36. I got it. And that's in Hongshan Mo.
Be careful here.
Let's be real careful.
Not Luan Guapayan. So there you go.
There's an episode of It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia where they get involved in a pyramid scheme. And they're using a goofy machine to try to measure your stress. And they go, oh, no, Charlie, you're at 140. And they're like, 140 what? Units of what? Stress.
Yeah, right now you can get tea for about $10 for 250 grams of tea. There you go, Dan.
Now you
know.
I
Now I
have
know.
no idea how to measure.
Dylan Coleman
tea
still
in
doesn't know how to
grams.
throw a strike.
Yeah.
Yeah.
People are like, no, he can't throw a strike. Get him out of here. I hope maybe this guy's the lottery ticket and, it'll work. Can we find another Cole Reagans?
Find me someone who's a legitimate Major League Baseball player.
How about 3 or 4 Cole Reagans?
Yeah, and then put a couple in the bullpen. Duplicate Cole Reagans. Coming up next, we're going to hear from Patrick Mahomes here on 580 Sports Talk. today. We're going to hear from that coming up in just a little bit in the 5 o'clock hour. But Patrick Mahomes spoke to the media today. And Patrick Mahomes had a few different things to say. Patrick Mahomes got a little chippy in there. Someone's like, do you think you can get it done? He's like, well, my entire career we've put up points. So, yeah, I do. I'm like,
whoa.
Yeah. I'm finally. He's not, saying the leadership thing. Like, there's a part of me that would like Mahomes just be like, bro, catch the ball.
I mean, yeah. He's not going to do that.
I know he's not, but a part of me wants to. I saw Jesse did a nice job breaking down the interception. They say that what might have occurred was Sky Moore thought it was going to be a back shoulder throw, and that's why he stopped.
Yeah, we're going to hear this in a moment here because it was a big deal, and we talked about it on Monday's show that Keyshawn Nixon said he knew what the hand signal was to the Chiefs, and he made the play because he knew what was coming. Mahomes says, that's the first time I've used that hand signal. So someone is in the wrong here.
Yeah, someone either is trying to keep it low key, Mahomes, or someone trying to make themselves look really, really good and really smart.
Nixon.
Yeah. So to each their own. Doesn't matter. The play got done. I mean, maybe Keyshawn Nixon didn't want to be like, I guessed and it worked. I don't know, that type of thing. But here's what Patrick Mahomes had to say to the media.
Was there something you can pinpoint where you guys need to execute those situations?
I think you just got to continue with it. It's not always going to go your way. We wanted to. But I thought we were doing a good job on that drive before I threw the interception. And even in the last drive, I thought we got down the field and gave ourselves a chance in a kind of a bad situation. So you just kind of keep with it and just trust that the guys are going to we're going to make it work in the end, and hopefully in the playoffs or in the last part of the season we convert some of those drives.
Coach revealed that, or he said there's a good chance Wanya Morris gets to start at left tackle. How far have you seen him come along and just your confidence level and what he can do?
Yeah, he's played well. If you watch the tape of the last game and the limited snaps that he's been in the game, he's done a great job on the run game and the pass game. I think now just trying to get him prepared for a great defensive line. A lot of the games and stuff that they do and the stunts. But as far as playing the position, he's done a great job.
Patrick, is there anything, obviously it's a process in the passing game every year. Is there anything new or different that you can do, think you should do to, I don't know, kind of accelerate the pace of chemistry with the guys? Or is it just you got to do day in, day out?
Yeah, you just come into work and try to get better. That's all you can do. I think the guys have done a great job of trying to do that. We're going to continue to get better. I thought we had a lot of great things in the last game. Obviously, just didn't execute in the red zone. So it's the little things in this league that are the difference between winning and losing. And so we'll continue to focus on those and try to get better going into this week.
And really nothing extra or different you can see to do other than keep on keeping on?
Yeah, I mean, you work on the stuff that didn't work out during the game. You try to adjust those things and maximize the stuff that you did well. But at the same time, I mean, this league's close. And these games come down to one score, and it's whoever executes the small things that come out with the win.
Patrick, sometimes you're speaking about the receivers. This year, they're beyond their microscope a lot more than previous years. How are they mentally?
They seem like they're in a great spot. I mean, in the locker room, I think everybody knows that we're all trying to go out there and be great and try to win football games. And I have a lot of trust in those guys, and I see how hard they're working. And so for us, it's about kind of keeping it within the locker room. I mean, we're still sitting there on top of the AFC West, and I think we have a lot of the stuff out in front of us. We just have to go out there and capitalize on it. And I think if we can start this week with a great week of practice and try to beat a really good football team, Buffalo Bills, it's kind of like next week we'll be talking about how great we are. So it's kind of this how the NFL works.
You've been on, speaking of which, you've been on teams here that have lost games in clusters, like 2 out of 4, 3 out of 5. Is there you ever noticed any like confidence issue in the room because of that, or in the locker room? Or
I haven't. I mean, I've been on a team that was 6-4, and I think we won the Super Bowl. So it's we have confidence every week that we're going to find a way to win the football game. Obviously, these last few weeks we've lost a couple, but we still have that mindset, and we understand the challenge that's in front of us. But at the same time, all you can do is go to work every single day and get better, and then go out and give whatever you can on the football field.
Does this situation feel a little different to you, just given what's going on offensively right now?
Not necessarily. I mean, for me, it's just you got to continue to get better and better throughout a season. I mean, we want to always win 14, 15, whatever games every year, but that's not how the NFL works. It's about parity and bringing teams together. And like I said, we're sitting here 8-4, and we're going up against a great team. And if we can go out there and find a way to get a win, we can just try to build off that momentum and try to ride that through the playoffs. And so 8-4 is 8-4 at the end of the day, and we have to continue to get better and better.
Patrick, because I haven't gone through those tough stretches that Blair alluded to, does that inform how you can see things now? I mean, does it tell you, well, of course we can get it the way we want it, but we've done it before?
Yeah, I think seasons, you never know how they're going to turn out. You don't know if you're going to lose games in kind of spread out fashion or kind of clump them all together. But all you can do is focus on that next week. You wash it and focus on that day. How can I get better today? And how can I focus on the opponent that we're playing upcoming? And so you never know how the season's going to go, but if you can continue to get better and better throughout the season and be playing your best football going into the playoffs, that's usually a good thing.
Patrick, a second ago about how everyone will love you again if you're able to defeat the Bills. How early do you learn you can't really pay any attention to the reactions on a week by week basis?
Yeah, I think I learned from Coach Reid. I mean, you always see him. He's never too high, never too low. It's just kind of just focus on the task at hand. How can he get us into the best position to play the best football we can that day? And so that's kind of my mindset is no matter if we win and everybody's loving us, or if we lose and everybody's kind of down on us, you just got to focus on how can I get myself better and prepare for that next game. And I think if you do that, that kind of puts everything where you can kind of in perspective, where you can kind of go out there and just be the best you can be.
I know you guys work on every situation in camp and different things. When you talk about the Hail Mary, the kind of jump ball thing, I mean, as an outsider, it looks like no flag has ever been thrown. Like the guys get mauled down there, right? And nobody throws a flag. Is there a technique or a conversation that you have as to, or a way you throw the ball to try to go around the fact that referees never, ever call pass interference in those situations?
Yeah, it's tough because there's so many guys that are all in the same area. And we talk about it and we say they're not going to throw flags. They're going to let the guys go out there and play. The one on Trav was a little aggressive just because the guy pushed him out of the way, and that's kind of the guy that's we want to be in the middle going up and get the ball. So, I mean, at some point there's got to be a flag, but at the same time, we do tell the guys they're not going to throw a lot of flags in that situation.
Sam?
Patrick, just you guys obviously didn't have as many possessions in this Green Bay, the way they were draining the clock. When you look at the last 2 games, are there signs of the offense that you do see that progress just over the past couple weeks on a per play basis? It's been improved.
Yeah, no, I mean, when I was watching the game, kind of after the game, I mean, I thought we did a lot of great things. If you can capitalize in those red zone ball on the 5-yard line, you got to find a way to get in the end zone on those first 2 drives, and then you get 14 points. It's a whole new football game. But that's the little things that we have to continue to get better at. We did a lot of great things until that fourth quarter. I made a few reads I'd probably want to take back and go to other spots just because of the way the play kind of was designed. But other than that, I mean, I thought guys did a great job. And if I can just not make that mistake at the end of the game, I think we'll have a chance to win it there at the end.
Steve? Patrick, you've earned about every award you could think of in the league. Now you're the Chiefs nominee for Walter Payton Man of the Year. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, no, it's amazing. I mean, just the group, the fraternity of guys that have come before me that have won that award. And then not even only that, I think just this team and how much it means to give back to the community and be a part of this community that's given so much to us. It truly is an honor. It's hard. It's got to be hard to pick when you look at guys like Travis Kelce, Justin Reid, Trey Smith. I mean, there's so many guys that do so much for the community. I'm just glad that I was able to be honored to be in that group that gets to go and be at the Super Bowl and listen to all the stories of all the guys giving back to these great communities. It truly is it's a great honor.
Last 2 with Todd and then Nate. Go Todd. After the game, you talked about the interception, and then Packers player had mentioned he thought he saw a tap of the knee and pick things up. Just wondering if you can take us into the cat and mouse game, not specifically what you guys do, but kind of how you have to disguise that stuff in games and every week to make sure those things don't happen. Yeah, we change it up a lot. I saw he said that he saw the thing and he knew the play, but it's the first time I've checked that play in my history of playing for the Kansas City Chiefs. So he definitely saw a signal. He did a great job, made a great play, a game-changing play. But just try to be more subtle, I guess, for myself to try to get us to the right spot where we can make a play happen. Nate?
Patrick, I was going to ask, kind of building off of that, how much does that happen? Whether you have the freedom to make checks or just how often do you feel like you get the opportunity to sort of make those calls, even though you know what the play call originally is? Yeah, no, Coach Reid gives me the freedom on every play to check us and get us into the best play. And I do a lot of signals. Some are real, some aren't real. It's all about trying to play that cat and mouse game of, like you were saying, of trying to confuse the defense. And they got me on that one, made a big time play, and I'll learn from it and try to be better the next time. What's your percentage if you had to ballpark it? Percentage of success, yes. You say? Been pretty high. I mean, I would say we've been able to score points in my career. So I think just trying to be better this year because obviously we need to score more points and win more football games. Thanks, man. Thanks.
That is one Patrick Mahomes. Got we've put up a lot of points since I've been here.
They have indeed.
So he's on the side of we're going to figure this thing out. And like we talked about yesterday, the offense is scoring, just not scoring the right scores. And also, the defense can't just give up 14 points right out the gate like they have been the last 2 games.
Yeah, it's tough for any team to have to play for behind. As comfortable as the Chiefs have been in that position with Mahomes as their quarterback, that's a stress test.
Yeah. And the game against the Bills is going to be interesting, man. The Bills are going to be, I mean, this is it. If they lose to the Chiefs,
they're done.
It's over. Because the Bills schedule, I mean, they got the Cowboys next. Cowboys playing well. Then they got the Chargers. Then you got the Dolphins. Like they got to run the table here. They got to run. You lose this one, you are 6-7. It's over. So you're going to get a desperate team. And if the Chiefs defense doesn't figure out how to slow down, a mobile quarterback, like in this situation, if I were the Buffalo Bills, this is a Josh Allen carries it 15 times and he's the sole reason we win this game. Like you got to ride Josh Allen the next 2 games and just say, dude, do whatever you can. That's the only way they're going to win these.
That's the only way they win any game.
But like even more so, like in the game against, like the Eagles, it was a full on Josh Allen game. They're going to be in trouble. I mean, Josh Allen, he ran for 81 yards and threw for 339. But if the Chiefs defense doesn't figure it out, he's going to do the exact same thing to the Chiefs defense. But I think the Chiefs secondary is better than the Eagles secondary, as we've definitely found that out over the last couple of weeks. Coming up, we'll talk about the Chiefs injury news here on 580 Sports Talk. 580 Sports Talk, hour number 3 on this Wednesday. Halfway home through the work week. More than halfway home. It's 4 o'clock. You only got one more hour, then you can get out of Dodge. We got lots to get to in this 4 o'clock hour. Tim Fitzgerald will join us to talk a little K-State.
A lot of K-State.
I wonder what we'll discuss. There's so little happening in Manhattan right now.
We're going to talk about NC State. We'll preview the bowl game.
Unfortunately, we might not have time to get to Dave Doran today.
That's Kansan Dave Doran.
It is Kansan Dave Doran. Spent 4 years as an assistant at KU.
Yeah.
It's from Shawnee. I think it's Shawnee where he's from. I'll double check though.
Well, you should talk nothing but K-State bowl talk and that type of deal.
Oh, yeah. That's exactly what Cats fans want to hear today. Pop-Tarts bowl talk.
We'll also have What Is Wrong With You coming up. Lot to get around. Hit us up on our text line. By the way, we talked about K-State men's basketball team and the win against Villanova, which good win over a top 34 Ken Palm team.
Yeah.
And if you missed any of the first 2 hours of today's program, go and revisit them at our website, on our podcast page, 580wibw.com.
And on our YouTube page.
Yeah, you can fast forward the YouTube video if you're watching it right now.
Yeah.
Just drag that cursor back a couple hours.
Yeah, and you can check out Dan's shirt. It's got a old school Willie Wildcat shirt. That's a slick shirt.
The home field apparel K-State.
Yeah, that's a good shirt.
Yeah,
Real good shirt.
Angry Willie there.
No, that's a great logo.
It really is. I think it's pretty cool.
The majority of logos previous are better than logos current. Or is that just like it's it's like retro, like the Kelly Greens? Like nobody thought the Kelly Greens were that amazing when they had them, but now they're like, oh my God, bring them back.
40 years from now, like our children are going to be like, hey, you know what logo was cool when the Cleveland Cavaliers had that like Picasso ass logo with all like the fluorescent colors in the late 90s when Fat Sean Kemp was on the team.
No, like the old
Fat Sean Kemp has his own basketball reference page aside from regular Sean Kemp.
Like
he should, honestly.
The
Two different guys.
The old Denver Broncos logo with the D. That's awesome. I loved that. I think that logo's great. But is that just nostalgia and like back when I was a kid?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's part of it.
Like I think
it is like the like in particular now the 90s looks like the brighter colors are starting to become a little bit more in vogue.
So like I think the current Broncos logo sucks.
Yes. Oh, the Flaming Horse. It's been a terrible logo since it was introduced in 1997.
But the D, I think that looks great. The eagle. Like I like the old Jet logo where it was Jet spelled out really fast. Like, I like that one better than the current one. You know what I mean? Like
I wish they actually put an airplane on their helmet. They're jets. There's no plane iconography anywhere.
Maybe it's because it's nostalgia.
It's when your life was better.
It is.
It's when you didn't have bills.
Yeah, but I got kids now, and granted, kids are a lot of work, but they're so much fun. Like
there's that great graphic that is described on Twitter as America's descent into fascism as explained by the Milwaukee Bucks logo. and how the Bucks logo goes from happy little deer to like angry looking, I'm going to repossess your house deer, like over the course of time. Like, yes, like logos have gotten more fearsome and darker colors, darker shades. And there's more whimsy in the sports logos and posters and things of the 50s, 60s, 70s.
Let me ask you, okay, which logo do you like better? The Patriot logo,
Pat
Patriot snapping it, or the current one?
The Pat Patriot.
It's because nowadays it's not about
creativity.
Well, it's less creativity. Everything in the world is created by freaking focus groups now. But also, everything is about the brand. It is about
showing off the shirt again on you.
Yeah, no, good.
It's about like brand marks, and this is our specific thing. And we're gonna put our specific thing on everything because it's our thing. There's no like willingness to deviate from any of that.
Okay. Creamsicles for Tampa Bay or the current ones? I'm talking about the logo.
Bucko Bruce?
Yeah.
I actually like the Buccaneer logo now. Like I think that's actually a good logo.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean Bucko Bruce is so unique and detailed.
But like, yes, the colors were once like a vibrant orange, and now they're like pewter and this dark red.
Everyone's red and black.
Yes, like darker colors. Like when the White Sox went to the black and sold like billions of dollars in merchandising in the early 1990s, that was the direction everybody went. Oh, we got to put black in our uniforms because black is what's cool. Black is what people are buying. We got to make black a team color.
Speaking of the Eagles, okay, have you seen the new Eagles word mark logo? Because you know how it now has kind of got the little wings on the end of it?
Yeah.
Not wings, but it kind of flares out at the end. Look up what their new one is. Look up
Eagles wordmark logo.
Eagles wordmark logo, especially new. They're going to start putting it on their jerseys, I think, next year.
Okay, the old. Where's new?
It's just Eagles. Like there's no flair to it at all. There's a little cutout in the letter E. Like it looks like clip art.
Yeah,
Like-
I'm looking at it right now. It looks like they just went through the fonts until they found one they liked.
Yeah. You're
That's-
showing it to me right now.
that-
That's their new one.
That's it.
That's it.
So stupid.
No, because everything is created by focus groups. Everything's got to be algorithm based. So you can
Gross.
find it in your AI search engine and everything comes up and looks exactly the same
Oh, my
because our lives are supposed to be boring and gray and squared off in every way.
Remember
and
when
it
you-
sucks.
remember-
They're telling you not to be creative, people. Be creative.
That's awful.
Remember yesterday, Brendan, when you asked us what our latest "get off my lawn" take
That was-
is?
Yes.
This is it.
Yeah.
This is a broader
And we're
take.
no,
Like,
I'm upper 30s, and Brendan, you're upper 20s, and Dan, you're mid. Like this isn't. We're not like boomers.
no, it's just uniforms were better in the 1990s and before. Like, it was just better.
Except for the Chiefs.
The Chiefs have never changed.
Never changed. And you want to know why that is, right?
Because it looks good.
Well, it does look good. But no, the reason why is Lamar Hunt never wanted it.
Yeah.
And Clark Hunt is never going to alter anything that his dad wanted to do. He will never do it.
No.
You know, everybody's saying that, oh, the Chiefs need a, because if you look at it, the Eagles, or not the Eagles got the Kelly Greens. Your Seahawks, man, they looked so good against the Cowboys.
In those old blues.
Oh,
Yeah.
But, and they've altered stuff. The Chiefs have never done that because Lamar Hunt never wanted to do it. And Clark Hunt is never going to do it, even though the amount of money that the Chiefs are losing in merchandise is $20 to $30 million. Because if you came out with an alternate logo that actually looks good, people would buy it, but they're not going to.
I think most alternate uniforms look bad, whereas throwbacks look pretty good. Like, there is nothing worse than turning on an NBA game and you see a team wearing, like, not their colors at all.
Oh, I hate black. Like, when KU played K-State in the black uniforms, I wanted to
Well,
fight
yes, I know
The,
you hate
the,
that.
the
but-
Uni-Watch guy always calls that BFBS, black for black's sake. Like,
Yeah.
it's not really a team color. You're just wearing black because you think black looks cool. Even if it's not a team color, if it's not a school color. And usually, yeah, that does look dumb. But yeah, you turn on an NBA game and you might not know who's playing.
Yeah, it
Just
sucks.
They get a lot
visually.
of uniforms now.
It's awful.
Every team has like 4 different uniforms. They get a new one every year.
The Denver Nuggets 90s uniform, not the navy blue.
You're talking about
ones.
the skyline,
Yeah.
the 80s. Yes, the rainbow
God,
skyline.
what a
one.
great,
Iconic.
you got that would be a jersey you need to rock. Like,
I had an Alex English throwback. It doesn't fit me anymore, but
no kid.
I had one, yeah.
South Carolina Gamecock, great.
great one.
Leading scorer in the 1980s in the NBA.
Yeah, Alex English, underrated.
Because the Nuggets played no defense, tried to score 130 a game. I mean,
That's
it
awesome.
came in the system a little bit, but
Played
No,
the
that-
Grinnell system.
Alex English was sick.
That's awesome. We need more of that.
Go design better logos.
Yeah, this has been logo talk, and I'm here for it.
I could talk more about the 80s Nuggets if you guys want me to. That could be a whole segment. Shout out Kiki Vandaway. Shout out TR Dunn. Shout out Fat Lever.
Kiki Vandaway.
Yeah.
That is,
Shout out Doug Moe.
how about that? Let's get to some Chiefs injury news. Today, the Chiefs, Isaiah Pacheco did not practice. Brian Cook did not practice. Donovan Smith did not practice. Drew Tranquil did not practice. Limited, everybody else. No, limited. Jerick McKinnon. Everybody else is a full go, including Nick Bolton. I think Nick Bolton's going to play on Sunday. Chris Jones spoke to the media today, and Chris Jones basically said, "I'm glad to have my linebacker back."
Yeah, I mean, I think we sort of knew that it was trending in this direction for Bolton based on what Reid had to say. at the end
And
of last
that
week.
is a big help when Chris Jones says, "I'm so glad to have my linebacker back." Man, he's my linebacker. That's a big deal.
Mhm.
Nick Bolton, tackling machine. Nick Bolton, huge deal. Plus, I don't see Drew Tranquil coming back on Sunday.
Probably not.
You need one of them just for the sheer fact that if Jack Cochran goes down, who's going to play there? Okay, start Nick Bolton. If he gets hurt, then you at least have Jack Cochran, and you can hope that he stays healthy. And I mean, it wasn't like he was a gigantic sieve out there and just
No, he was
like
fine.
me
He's
out there.
serviceable.
But you need a little depth in there as well. But you ready for this? Brett Veach has been given an opportunity to evaluate what could be a huge direction what the Chiefs are going to do. And I said this at the very beginning of the year. I said, if they can have Wanya Morris be the left tackle of the future, do you know how much that's going to help the Kansas City Chiefs? So much. If Morris can be your left tackle and Donovan Smith, don't know if he's going to play.
Mm-hmm.
And if it weren't the Bills, you know what I mean? Now, granted, is Von Miller going to play in this game?
Yes, it sounds like he is going to be available.
Is he gonna be available?
He is not being placed on the commissioner exempt list. You may have been aware there was a story a couple, was it 2 weeks ago?
Thanksgiving week.
Yeah, about there was a warrant out for his arrest. I don't know what's come of that, but apparently the process has not gotten to the point where the league has decided to place him on a commissioner exempt list. And so the Bills are like, well, if the league's not going to disqualify him from playing, we're sure as hell not going to take our best pass rusher off the field in the game we need to win.
Hey, this isn't like K-State where the president's like, yeah, I don't know if I want to play that guy. That's a big concern. But who do the Chiefs play after the Bills? The Patriots?
Yeah, the Patriots, yeah.
Even if Donovan Smith is healthy, put out Wanya Morris. Because if you can find out if this kid can play left tackle, your O-line is set for next year. Then you just got to determine, are we going to pay Creed Humphrey or Trey Smith? Because Tooney will still be there, and they'll all still be there next year. They're all still going to be under contract for one more year. But then you don't got to worry about your left tackle. You don't have to go out and, because the Chiefs got lucky that Donovan Smith got released and they got Donovan Smith at that price. Now, granted, some people say, well, did they get lucky because he hasn't been great?
Would you rather play a veteran who's just okay or throw a rookie left tackle to the wall?
Exactly.
Yeah.
But if Wanya Morris can actually get it done, maybe against the Bills in a, as Matt Verner said on Monday, a huge playoff intensity type of game. Because if the Chiefs lose this game to the Bills, don't think they're getting the 1 seed. I know the Ravens have a very tough schedule the rest of the way.
And 12-5 was good enough for the 1 seed 2 years ago. The first year of the 17-game schedule, 12-5 it was Tennessee was the one.
Now, the after the game against the Bills, the Chiefs have a much easier schedule, but that means then you got to hope that both the Dolphins and the Dolphins and the Ravens have to lose 2 more games. Whereas I think the Dolphins and the Ravens are going to at least lose 1 more game. And then the Chiefs will own the tiebreaker, because the good news is, again, the Chiefs have only lost to, outside of the Broncos, the NFC, which helps the conference record. And they own the tiebreakers over the Dolphins, because I think the Jags are going to lose a couple more games. I think the Jags are Jags pretenders, by the way. So but if Morris does play and he plays well, now you can send that money wherever. I mean, you can go get a wide receiver. You can go get a pass rusher. You can go get another safety. You can go get somebody.
I thought Morris was particularly good on the ground. And some of this is that Green Bay not great up front other than Rashawn Gary. And it was as simple as running away from Rashawn Gary that made the Chiefs offense successful. Like, you think about all their big run plays on Sunday night, they were all the left. Every single one of them. Like, they didn't really run successfully to the right. Their big chunk runs were to the left side. But yeah, Morris held his own. I mean, he's from a college football program that generally turns out NFL caliber linemen. That was well coached in college. I'm not surprised that Like I'm not saying, I think he's going to be an all-pro, for 10 years, right? Or he played like an all-pro in his first extended action, but I'm not surprised he held his own. I'm not surprised he acquitted himself well. And the standard of play from Donovan Smith to this point has not been so high that Wanya Morris can't be an adequate replacement for what the standard of play has been on that side.
Do these injury concerns make you say that this is a problem now?
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's a problem. The team is a lot thinner now than they were fairly recently.
If Bolton plays the whole game and is good to go, do you still have that issue? Because to me, injury problems are the biggest concern is if your big dogs aren't there.
Mm-hmm.
And I think right now the biggest dog that ain't there is if Bolton plays, then you got at least that middle linebacker spot is the Cook position.
Yeah, that's where you're really thin. That's where you're an injury away from having to really depend on Shamari Connor. And he hasn't really played a lot of that safety spot. Or who's the other one? They still got Bush on the practice squad?
I think so.
Yeah, I believe I just had that up.
Dion Bush.
Yeah. I'll pull it up. The practice squad for you.
Hey, you know who's free now?
I did see he just got released
if
yesterday.
You say his name, Jake, I swear to God. Don't do it. Don't do it.
Okay. You won't say his name. I will.
Ooh, fight.
Dan the Man Sorensen is a free agent.
I won't talk about them. I won't do it. You can't make me. I won't do it.
Yeah, Sorensen got cut by the Saints yesterday.
I don't think I've ever seen Brendan look at me that mad.
No, I won't do it. I've been through too much.
He's cooked. There's no way the Chiefs bring him back. That's not happening.
Deion Bush is indeed on the practice squad. Yeah. So at the very least, I mean, that's an actual NFL player you could run with for a little bit.
Yeah,
I wouldn't be surprised if he had maybe a practice squad elevation this week. In fact,
sure.
I'm just glad that he's not done for the year. Bring him back for the playoffs because he's played well this year. He really, really has. Brian Cook has. Like, I'm surprised how good he's played this year. Coming up, we got What Is Wrong With You, and then Tim Fitzgerald joins us to talk all things K-State.
What the hell is right? It's what is wrong with you time here on 580 Sports Talk, brought to you by Top City Metal Supply. They cut the metal you need to your specifications. That saves you time, money, and material. So never settle when it comes to your metal. We're talking about Top City Metal Supply on South Topeka Boulevard, halfway between Frito-Lay and Forbes Field. Our winner so far this week, it is the quiet quitter kidnapper, the guy who worked in prisoner inmate transportation and in the middle of a job, in the middle of a drive with 4 prisoners in the back of his car, back of his van, with a coworker sitting next to him. He decided, I'm done. I'm just not going to do this anymore. And he just went off the route and drove away. And he was eventually arrested.
He needed some time to think
Yeah,
about his next move.
Is this really what I want to do with my life? Hey, if I'm his coworker, I'm saying, dude, I totally respect it. This job is a grind. It is tough. My suggestion would be take half an hour, drop us off, and then go worry about it. Instead, this guy is now charged with 5 counts of felony kidnapping.
It's the opposite of the people who say, all right, one last job.
Yeah, the exact opposite.
He's like, no, there will be no more jobs, including the one I'm currently in the middle of.
This job is canceled.
I'm out.
So that's our winner for the week. 2 news stories today. We're going to Florida for mine. Where a woman set her Tinder date on fire over $60.
Oh.
We're headed to Miami, where a man's Tinder date nearly turned deadly after the woman he met set him on fire. We meet Destiny Lene Johnson, a 25-year-old woman from Miami who was arrested on charges of attempted murder, aggravated battery causing great bodily harm, and arson after attacking a man she met through Tinder. Tinder's a tough place. I met my wife on Tinder.
So did I.
Not ashamed to say it at all. So you meet some wonderful people. You also meet some not so wonderful people. Even this, though, kind of extreme.
Yes.
So authorities say the victim told Miami police he met Johnson at a Holiday Inn Express on November 16th to smoke weed together somewhere else. Okay, I see. After her date dropped back at the hotel, Johnson asked him for money to fix her car. The arrest report says the victim offered her the $60 he had on his person, but she shouted, quote, "You guys are out to get me," then poured a flammable liquid on him and set him and his car on fire.
You guys are out to get me?
All guys, apparently, I guess. The victim managed to escape the burning vehicle and then rolled on the pavement to put the fire out. Stop, drop, and roll. Very smart. Glad he remembered that. Police say they later found the suspect after someone reported seeing a burned naked woman who said she blew up a car. Okay, well, pretty easy to find. She was taken to a hospital to be treated before being arrested.
Man, I'm just glad the guy is okay.
Yeah, no
he
kidding.
Thought he was gonna, smoke up, maybe chill, maybe get lucky.
Yeah. Or at the very least, smoke and chill.
Yeah, 2 of those 3 things.
Yeah, he'll take any of the 2, probably.
I mean, you're probably angling for the 3rd, but hey, if it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen.
Yeah,
Charge to the game and keep it moving.
Yeah, you're still coming out ahead. It's Tinder. It's part of, it's part of the game.
It never occurred to me when meeting anyone for a date from any place that I might have met them, whether in person or on an app, that I might get set on fire.
Nope. Never had that worry. I will be honest with you. That never, should I, don't fall asleep there in case they take my keys or check my wallet when I leave or whatever. Okay, sure. Those things are at least passing thoughts. Not, will this woman light me on fire? No.
Yeah, that was never a concern of mine. That's
all right,
wild.
Where are you taking us today?
Going to St. Albans, Vermont.
Oh.
And a Franklin County Sheriff's deputy clocked 3 men going upwards of 100 miles per hour on motorcycles in a 35 mile per hour zone. According to court documents, the deputy said he chased the group as they passed 3 to 4 cars on double-lined roads. They thought they were the Wild Hogs or something. He finally caught up with 2 of the bikers, 31-year-old Jeffrey Bauer and 25-year-old Joshua Porter, after a little under 2.5 miles when they reached their destination. The 3rd operator, 30-year-old Brady McGee, crashed in a ditch about a mile away. This would not normally make for a "what is wrong with you" story. A couple of yahoos riding their motorcycles too fast. These are cops and a firefighter. McGee and Bauer are members of the City of Burlington Police Department. They were off duty at the time. They are currently off duty on administrative assignment. Porter is a Burlington firefighter. All 3 men were in court Monday, pled not guilty to charges of careless and negligent operation, which is a misdemeanor offense that interim Franklin County State's Attorney Bram Cranitchfield says is appropriate. Guess how you know we're in Vermont? The state's attorney's name is Bram. Regardless if they were police officers or not, Cranitchfield says, we are going to treat them like anyone else who comes into our system with these charges. Just because you are the law doesn't make you above the law. Nope. Example 872,445X.
Yep, can't do it.
Nope.
Can't do it. God,
135.
That's scary.
Yeah, that's terrifying.
That's really, really scary.
You're passing cars.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, man, that's dangerous. Hopefully McGee's okay. Like, all we know is he crashed into a ditch.
Yeah, that's, oh my God.
Going 100 miles an hour, he's lucky to be alive.
No kidding. No kidding. All right, who we got today? There's some death-defying events in these stories.
You know, the woman set a man on fire.
Yeah.
That's pretty out of pocket. That's hard to beat for today.
All because on their first time meeting, he would not pay her full car repairs and was even willing to say, hey, I got 60 on me. I'll give it to you. He did not have to do that.
So I don't know if you ever went on a date where it became, hey, can I have some money? I have.
Ooh.
There was no second date. I can tell you that right now.
Yeah, I believe that.
But I've been on a date where it became, can I have? And no, not for that, you sickos.
I didn't think it was for that. For what it's worth.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I know. You would not impugn my character behind an open microphone.
Yeah, that wins today.
Yeah, that wins today. But I don't know, man. I still get a bigger kick out of the story of the guy quiet quitting.
Yeah.
His inmate transport job and just casually committing 6 felonies in the process of quitting his job.
Yeah, this woman seems to have something like not like the driveway, not quite meeting the garage upstairs. Not to make a car pun. But I'm with you. I'm going to go with the quiet quitter kidnapper. Like, dog, you're going to jail for a long time. That's 6 felony counts, bro. That's a lot of prison time. That's our winner today in What Is Wrong With You.
If only he were around people who could tell him that, hey, man,
you don't want this life,
jail's
bro.
not the move.
Brought to you, as always, by Top City Metal Supply. Let's get to a break. We'll get to a jam-packed Wildcat wrap-up with Tim Fitzgerald next on 580 Sports Talk. Joining us on the Fleming Place Wine and Spirits hotline is our good pal Tim Fitzgerald, the publisher of GoPowerCat.com, part of the 24/7 Sports Network. Head to GoPowerCat for a whole bunch of coverage of all things K-State sports, a whole lot of news today, and Fitz and his whole crew doing a great job covering all of it going on in Manhattan. You can also and should also follow Fitz on Twitter at Life of Fitz. Fitz, I can't imagine we need you for more than a couple minutes today. There's really not a whole lot going on.
Yeah, I don't know why I'm even on this show. Can we talk about maybe wood crafting for 20 minutes?
We could. Are you a big whittler?
No, I'm not at all. Not at all. Maybe we should pick a topic I'm good at. You know what? Let's talk about being sticky. 20 minutes.
We definitely could cover that. We should dive into the big news. Who would have thought that K-State losing its offensive coordinator that is pretty darn good at his job and is a program legend might not be the biggest story of the day in Manhattan, but it might not be. Let's start on the basketball front, Fitz. Can you give us just a quick rundown for folks who maybe haven't been as online as us today or maybe are just tuning in for the first time? What is the latest on the Naquan Tomlin situation? It feels like for a little bit it was maybe trending toward he's playing. Now it's still not being treated like he's anywhere close to coming back. The president of the university involved. We're getting kind of a showdown between administration and athletic department here. What is the latest on the Naquan Tomlin situation?
Well, it's a mess. It literally is. Naquan is at the very end of fulfilling his obligations to the legal system for the incident that happened in Aggieville off campus. And that's about to come to a close. One would think that means, okay, he's coming back, but it appears that Kansas State University President Richard Linton has decided he's not coming back, that he must pay a price by never playing at Kansas State again, which is a gross overreach and overreaction. And I don't think the decision is set in stone, but it's turned into a real point of fracture on the campus. And I don't understand it. I really don't. I know there's discussion in this process that maybe a female was struck during this. I'm not sure it was intentional, but that's not reflected in any of the police charges. So if it's not a legal matter, what is the problem here? I mean, I'm not sure what we're dealing with and why he's so adamant about this. This isn't gun violence. This isn't sexual assault. This isn't really any that big a deal. In fact, we've been told that it's kind of regret that he was ever arrested because it should have just been, hey, let's cool down and let's head home, that type of thing. But it wasn't. And apparently he's decided this somehow is one mistake and you're done for life at Kansas State, which I think most of us disagree with that. I hope he doesn't have to hold that same standard. He might face that same standard here pretty soon. And it's a hot button right now. It really is. I mean, there's some, kind of casual protesting going on campus. It's 100 people now. It's probably like 25 dudes, but people are beginning to wake up to this, and I think it's going to grow some momentum. And I don't know that Richard Linton really wants. Is this really going to be your Alamo? Is this what you're going to? I don't quite understand what his motivation is or what, but I'm going to be blunt here. I'm tired of having the race card played for every little thing that goes wrong, but I see a white man in power that is reacting to this in an irrational way with a young person of color, and I'm not comfortable with it. And I honestly, as I sit here, I actually wonder if this had been Will Howard, would he have ever missed a practice? I don't think so. I'm really dismayed by what I'm seeing from Kansas State University's leadership, and the donor class is going to have to step up and assert themselves with the Board of Regents or President Linton to get this fixed, because he's literally telling the coaches, I'm in charge here and I will do with your teams whatever I want. And that's a good way to have your coaches leave and destroy your athletic department and thus destroy your enrollment. He's putting K-State on a perilous course.
So, and to that point too, and I know the concern about the future for Jerome Tang, if it's not super in focus now for some people, maybe at some point it does get there. But I'm curious, and we talked about this a little bit earlier on the show today, Fitz. If you are, assuming that everything is going on course with Naquan Tomlin and the legal process as you've laid out for us. Obviously, the athletic department, the basketball program would like him on the court because they're in the business of winning, supporting their athlete,
Right.
etc. If you are the president of a university, I'm speaking specifically about K-State, but also just in general, you just gave Gene Taylor a huge contract extension. Jerome Tang has been extended. You want those types of people as representatives of your athletics and of your university. Those are good people. We know Gene Taylor at least fairly well. I mean, he's a great guy. He's great at his job. Jerome Tang, clearly great at his job.
Yeah.
Shouldn't you want those guys to be empowered to do their jobs if you're going to give them big money and big contracts for those jobs?
Exactly. John Weefold was a larger-than-life character who, raised K-State out of the doldrums and, into the heyday. And part of that was hiring Bill Snyder. But at the end of the day, even though Doc Weefold, who was a dear friend of mine, had an ego and he loved to be the center of attention, he was also an effective leader. He hired people and said, "This is what I want you to do. Now go do it. I'm out of your way." He didn't meddle in stuff like this. He didn't have a need to assert himself. Weak leaders have to step in and prove to people they're in charge. That's ineffective leadership, but they don't know that. They think it's what leaders do, and it's not at all what they do. At the end of the day, any of us who had a boss that interfered in our ability to do our job, second-guessed us when we were effective at our job, and we seemed to be doing everything right. It's not like Jerome Tang's running a loose ship. He just suspended a guy for unknown reasons for a game that's his starting center. I mean, the last thing Jerome is soft. Don't confuse loving your players with being soft with them. It's often you have to punish your children and you still love them. And to interfere in this way is awkward and odd, disappointing, and really not effective as a leader. And this is the problem with how academic institutions are set up. You're a really good professor. Now you're in charge of the department of which you've been overseeing. Oh, you're really good at that. Now you're a university president, something you know absolutely nothing about in terms of business and recruitment and all that. It sometimes blows up on you, and I'm not saying that's what's happened here, but this is a misstep. This is a misstep in leadership and a miscarriage of justice for a young man who has literally fulfilled his agreement with the justice system. But here's the most compounding things in the situation. He wasn't kicked out of school. He just can't play basketball. He's still a student. He's going to graduate near December, and that's the focus of the coaches right now. Make sure Naquan Tomlin becomes the first person in his family ever to graduate. That's their sole focus right now. Do they want him back? Yeah, because they love him. They want him on the team. Would it make him better? But yes, but that's not really what it's about. It's about this kid shouldn't be set aside over this situation. It's a mistake. It went into diversion. It's been his first brush to the law, and you want to forfeit its future over that? It doesn't make sense to me, and it doesn't make sense to a lot of people. And there is growing pushback against what the president has done, and I'm just going to say I think he's going to regret this. I think he's going to lose this battle, and he thinks he's got the ultimate power. We all got a boss. He does too.
Tim Fitzgerald, the publisher at GoPowerCat.com, joining us for the Wildcat Wrap-up here on 580 Sports Talk. Fitz joins us on the Fleming Place Wine and Spirits hotline every Wednesday at this time. You can find him and his staff's work at GoPowerCat.com. Check out Fitz on Twitter at LifeOfFitz. From a more outside perspective, Fitz, this kind of boiled over within a 24-hour span. There were the "We Want Naquan" chants that were loud, audible from the student section at Bramlage Coliseum during the Villanova game last night. Then today, as you mentioned, a smattering of on-campus protesting going on. Like you said, it's probably more a handful than like a meaningful number of students, but still people out there who want to have their voices heard on this topic. Was there a precipitating moment, a tipping point here where it has gone from something where you're kind of taking Jerome Tang at face value when he says, hey, we don't know if we're going to have him back or not, to now this becoming a rallying cry on campus? Was there a tipping point here? And if so, what was it?
It was me. I don't mean that as an ego point. I posted what I knew on my message board behind our paywall a few days ago. And someone screenshotted that, sent it to the president, who I'm told was very unhappy that someone had been leaking information to me. The irony being, he's assuming he knows where the leak's coming from, and he has no clue. Again, poor leadership. You think everyone is in lockstep with you because you're the leader, and he's made some veiled threats over careers, over something I reported. And guys, I don't like bullies. I never have. Maybe it's my Irish nature, but to threaten people over something I reported on is ugly. It's irrational. And I was asked to kind of back away for a little bit, let it calm down. But it leaked out in other ways, not related to me. And now I've gone, in the course of this day, I've gone from being kind of, I don't know what I'm trying to say here, secretive, not coming direct to the point, to seeing now that everyone I'm not sharing anything they don't know. And so I'm being more forceful in public about this. This is a situation that can only be rectified by Richard Linton realizing he's overreached and made a mistake here. If his reaction now is to try to damage Naquan Tomlin's future further, he's putting K-State University in peril of a lawsuit. He has done things here that I think are in the best interest of the university, whether it's enrollment or from a legal standpoint. And time for his bosses to step in and say, what the hell is going on here? Because this isn't right. This isn't right what he's doing to this young man over a bar fight in which he didn't strike any of the employees that work at this bar. That most of the conflict was directed towards him, simply for trying to find his phone in a bar. And it's gotten ugly. It's gotten ugly, and the reason it's gotten ugly is absolutely crappy leadership, and that's what happens. Yeah, you don't throw gasoline on the fire to try to calm it down, and by threatening people, you get a pushback. Look, I don't know if I helped cause this, but to quote one of my favorite lines in the movie, "I'm your Huckleberry. I don't give a crap. I'm an Irishman on a limited clock. You want to threaten my credentials, you want to threaten my career, you want to threaten those around me, because you're, I don't even know what you're doing. Let's go, man. Let's go. Let's have some fun."
Fitz, let's pivot to the other big athletic news from Kansas State in the last 24 hours. Colin Klein, favorite son of K-State football, Heisman Trophy candidate, offensive coordinator, one of the best offenses in the country this last year. He's leaving. He could have left last year, chose to stay. This is the year he decides to depart to Texas A&M. Double-headed question here for you, Fitz. Number one, what was the motivation? Is this strictly financial? Is this strictly an offer that Klein couldn't refuse and K-State couldn't match? And where does K-State go from here as far as offensive coordinator goes?
I would have never thought that this would be the topic I really wanted to discuss. This caught some people off guard. But you know what? When you got quality young coaches, people are going to come after them. KU just had it happen. There was a report out of Houston that Colin was offered that Penn State job first. I'll be honest, I'm not aware of that. Maybe that happened, but I think it was James Franklin. I mean, hell, he played a role in recruiting Colin to Kansas State when he was here as offensive coordinator under Ron Prince. Don't forget, that's who recruited Colin Klein to K-State. And the great irony, this poster child of K-State sports was recruited by Ron Prince. And so maybe he was reached out to, do you want to do it? And he said, no, I'm good. So he's passed on Notre Dame, passed on Penn State. I think it was twofold. First of all, this is an ag engineering school. It's right in his wheelhouse of comfort zone in terms of campus cultures. And I think the money was substantial. We haven't found out yet what it is. There's rumors that he might be the highest paid assistant in college football history. Kind of not only short-term changing the finances of your family, but also moving to the SEC on that stage in a program that can and should be succeeding. And if you play a role in it next season with Coach Elko, who I think he was incredibly comfortable with, another part of this, if you play a role in that, man, you're going to be a head coach, and soon. And that's the goal of Colin Klein. And I thought he would maybe do it here at Kansas State, but maybe that's going to take him elsewhere.
We're chatting with Tim Fitzgerald from GoPowerCat.com. It's part of the 24/7 Sports Network. Fitz is the publisher of the site, and this is the Wildcat Wrap-up here on 580 Sports Talk on the Fleming Place Wine and Spirits Hotline. Fitz joins us every single Wednesday at this time. The big question for the current K-State roster, Fitz, with Colin Klein on the way out, is how safe is the, I don't want to say commitment because he's already on the roster, but Avery Johnson, I mean, he is the big deal. He is the next big thing for this program. Have you heard anything to indicate that he is not a safe lock to remain with the K-State program?
No, he's locked. He's in. He's good. If anything, this wasn't like, oh, my coach left, I want to follow him. This is, oh, my coach left, screw him. I'm staying here. He's so promising, he cleared out the entire quarterback room, basically. Every other scholarship player left. They didn't want to compete with Avery. He's now got, he's large and in charge, guys. He's going to be the starting quarterback in the bowl game and beyond. And I don't know why he would go to another program that has talented quarterbacks in their room and fight for that job. Maybe if someone rolled up and said, hey, here's a $5 million a year NIL deal, we'd all have to stop and look at it. But that shouldn't be going on in college athletics. And, unfortunately, the NCAA has decided they don't want to be in charge of, enforcing the rules. And so as long as no one tampers, I think he's locked in. I'm not worried about it 1 minute as I sit here. As we all know, things can change. But right now, man, he's going to be the quarterback of the bowl game, and he's looking forward to next season from everything I'm being told.
At the offensive coordinator position, there are probably some in-house candidates. We've seen some rumors that Connor Riley, the offensive line coach, who's got some play calling experience in his past, likely candidate at the very least, if not likely successor to Colin Klein there. Who are some of the other names you're hearing, whether in-house or out-of-house, who could be in the running for an OC or just coaching job with K-State now that there's a role open?
I think it's going to be Connor Riley, period, in the story. I mean, I don't think there's even he's had a successful offense. He's been, really successful as an offensive line coach. I've had some people reach out to me and say, why is K-State not looking outside? I'm like, if you run a business and the business is successful and you like your employees, you don't go outside and block their own advancement. You're asking them to leave your company because they can't advance. I think Connor Riley's the obvious choice. He will be the choice. They'll go find a quarterback coach, and those names are on a hot board that we believe is going on, and we'll see how that pans out. But I don't think there'll be an announcement anytime soon. There's a lot of stuff to sort out, but I know this. I'm 100% safe in saying Connor Riley will be the offense coordinator for this bowl game later this month. I don't know when Chris Kleiman will announce anything beyond that, but that's where the offense is headed. And people are like, he doesn't have any play calling experience. Well, Colin Klein really didn't either. He was co-offense coordinator for a season with zero play calling responsibility under Bill Snyder. So that worked out okay. Just have some faith.
I know it's a different level, but I always love they've never called plays before thing. A famous play caller who didn't call plays before he became a head coach? Andy Reid. He wasn't exactly calling plays for Mike Holmgren, okay? So it certainly can work out. That's not the biggest part of the deal. Tim Fitzgerald is the publisher. Right, is the publisher of GoPowerCat.com. Go be a 24/7 Sports VIP. If you're not, if you haven't paid attention in the last 20 minutes, you've clearly been missing something if you're not. So go be a VIP. It is absolutely worth it. Go check out Fitz's work and follow him on Twitter as well, at Life of Fitz there. We appreciate the time as always, Fitz. Thanks for the great work as always, and we'll talk to you soon.
Thank you for letting me vent. That's good. Goodbye.
Anytime, Fitz. That's Tim Fitzgerald from GoPowerCat.com. Man, what a day in Manhattan.
We didn't even get to the overtime win for the men's basketball team over Villanova.
We need another 30 minutes.
Yeah, which, by the way, Fitz, you go to GoPowerCat.com. Fitz has a post-game wrap. It's also on their YouTube account. You can check out. You should be a subscriber to their YouTube, just like you should subscribe to ours.
Yes.
You subscribe to the GoPowerCat YouTube. Get Fitz's thoughts on last night's win over Villanova. But yeah, a lot going on, and it does not flatter university leadership that there is this impasse with regards to Naquan Tomlin returning to the court.
You never want to see students, whether it's 25 dudes, as Fitz put it, or 50 or 100 multicultural students or whatever. You don't want to see a protest on campus about something you're doing as a president. That's never good. We do have to get to a break. We'll start the 5 o'clock hour with our 580 Sports Talk headlines. That's coming up after the news right back here on 580 WIBW. hour of 580 Sports Talk on this Wednesday afternoon, December 6th. I'm Brendan Dworzinski. He's Dan Lucero. Just the two of us for the rest of the show today, with you until 6 o'clock. We've got some K-State women's hoops coming up on the airwaves tonight.
Yes, we do. The 13th ranked team in the land in action tonight.
How about that?
They are taking on, I forget off the top of my head.
I think it's McNeese.
It is.
Yeah.
It's McNeese.
What is McNeese?
Cowboys.
The Cowboys?
I suppose Cowgirls.
Oh, the Cowgirls? Yeah.
Yeah.
It's amazing. A team that was already pretty good brings back one of the three best players in the country, and they're even better.
Yeah, how about that?
How about that?
They are the Cowgirls. Apparently they have dropped state, kind of like Nichols State University has just kind of in sports. They're just Nichols now.
That's becoming more and more. Last night, KU played Kansas City. Everybody around here knows them as UMKC.
Right.
I interchange them all day, but it's about simplifying things, I guess, and taking away the state or the university or whatever.
McNeese women's basketball, they are 3-5. Their wins are over, and I'm not making this up, Dillard, North American, and Ecclesia.
So they beat a continent, a department store, and a book of the Bible.
That's Ecclesiastes. Close.
Oh, okay, close.
You're very close.
Got real close to it.
Ecclesia College.
Ecclesia College.
I got nothing for you about Ecclesia College.
I saw a score yesterday. I couldn't believe this. The college, the new College of Florida. They were playing Florida Gulf Coast yesterday.
Oh, yes, the new College of Florida. They've been in the news.
Yes, they have been quite a bit. They're the Mighty Banyans.
Uh-huh.
I don't know what that is. I thought it said Mighty Bananas at first.
I wish.
So I posted a picture of it on Twitter. It's like, I love this. This is the best part of this part of the college basketball season. We hear about teams. I had never heard of them before. I mean, I've actually heard of the new College of Florida. My sister-in-law went there for a little bit. As a student several years ago now. Let's make sure that's clear. Several years ago. But I love stuff like that. And apparently that's who McNeese has been playing in women's basketball.
So new College of Florida's athletic department is pretty new.
Yeah, I didn't actually know they had athletics.
With previously they had only offered intercollegiate archery, esports, powerlifting, rowing, sailing, and swimming.
That sounds about right.
The school announced plans in 2023 to offer 17 new sports and more than double its number of student athletes over the course of the next 4 years. They've had a shift in enrollment. Again, they have been in the news. You can do your Googles on why they have been in the news, but they have been in the news. So that's a new basketball program.
Yeah.
All but brand new. Yeah.
How about that? So yeah, there's college basketball, women's basketball coming up tonight following that K-State men's win yesterday. KU won yesterday as well.
I tell you what, that we want Naquan Chan at the women's basketball game tonight. Bramley's going to ring off. Let me tell you.
Yeah. They're going to do it.
Yes.
It's going to happen. Absolutely. Coming up this hour, we will get to our 580 Sports Talk headlines here in just a second. We'll also hear from Andy Reid. We didn't get to hear from him earlier, so we'll have our Andy Reid press conference audio coming up in just a little bit, plus some final thoughts on the college hoops action from last night on the men's side. We'd love to get your takes on anything we're talking about today. Text line number 785-272-9429. And on YouTube as well, you can find us. We live stream the show every single day, video and all. Hello, if you're watching on the live stream today. 580 Sports Talk is the name of our YouTube channel. Have had a bunch of subscribers over the last 24 hours or so. Shout out to K-State. Y'all been great for business. So if you're a new YouTube subscriber, maybe you are watching for the first time on the YouTube, again, thank you for joining us. Tell your friends, and check us out, not just for the K-State stuff, although we love when Fitz is on, obviously. Incredible stuff from Tim today. But we do some pretty good stuff every day. It's pretty cool stuff every day. So tell your friends and come check out 580 Sports Talk.
We are now
every weekday.
Yes, we are now 7 subscribers shy of that magical round number of 400.
Yeah, y'all have been great. We've put a lot of work into doing the video stuff every day, and we appreciate you guys who have been hanging out with us and doing that with us every day. So thank you so much for that. All right, we've got some sports to get to. Let's get to today's 580 Sports Talk headlines. My first one for today, let's get to some baseball news today, shall we? It is not officially official as of yet, but there have been numerous reports from the winter meetings, including from John Morosi of MLB Network, that Juan Soto to the Yankees is almost done. Morosi an hour ago said Juan Soto trade agreement being finalized now, source confirms. The deal, as has been reported already, sends Juan Soto and Trent Grisham to the Yankees in exchange for Michael King, Drew Thorpe, Johnny Brito, Randy Velasquez, and Kyle Higashioka. None of those players are as good as Juan Soto. That's all you need to know.
Not even remotely.
Like Michael King had a really good year.
He did. Like Michael King is good. Like Michael King, the Padres are dying for starting pitching. They've got Joe Musgrove, Yu Darvish, and question marks.
Me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm throwing 150 innings next year.
It's not a great situation. They're not going to bring back Blake Snell as a free agent. They're not going to bring back Josh Hader, their closer, as a free agent. Like, they need arms. And Michael King was really good. 104 2/3 innings for the Yankees last year. He struck out 127, walked just 32, had a 2.75 ERA. Like, Michael King can pitch. Trying to find the names again. I had them and I lost my tab. Drew Thorpe is a big prospect in the Yankee system. Johnny Brito is a prospect. Kyle Higashioka is a backup catcher. Juan Soto is Juan Soto.
Yeah, he's one of the best pure hitters in baseball.
Juan Soto is 25 years old.
Mm-hmm. I believe that's correct.
Just turned 25. So next year will be his age 25 season. He's already got a batting title. He's led the league in walks each of the last 3 seasons. He's led the league in on-base percentage twice. His career on base is .421. He gets on base 42% of the time. He is the active leader in on-base percentage. He's got 160 career home runs, 483 career RBI, and again, could still be on his parents' car insurance. He is that young. He had 35 dingers last year, 109 runs driven in a ballpark not really conducive to dingers. Now he's going to Yankee Stadium. He's going to get 50 next year.
Yeah, I mean, he's one of the best offensive players in all of baseball, and the Padres are getting... That's the problem with trades in baseball when you're talking about a player of this magnitude. You can't get fair value. It just doesn't happen for a player that's this good like Juan Soto. So, of course, he's going to the Yankees. The Yankees apparently decided now they want to spend to keep a guy. Now, the one thing about Soto you have to keep in mind is you got to give him a new contract.
Yes, he will be a free agent after this year. That is how the Padres got him in the first place. The Washington Nationals 2 years ago were of the understanding that they weren't going to be able to afford Juan Soto once he hit the open market. They tried to open up some dialogue about an extension. Those talks really didn't go anywhere, so Washington decided to move him while they could get the most value possible for him. And, like, the return was not unsubstantial. You're getting a superstar player with, at the time, 2.5 years of team control. It cost the Padres a lot. Robert Hassel and James Wood are 2 of the best prospects in all of baseball. CJ Abrams had a bit of a bust out last year as the young shortstop for the Nationals. Mackenzie Gore is a member of their rotation, started 27 games last year, struck out 10 batters per 9. Abrams, doubling back to him, hit 18 homers and stole 47 bases as a 22-year-old. Like, there's a really bright future for all of those guys that went to Washington in exchange for Juan Soto. And AJ Preller, Padres GM, turned all of that, Abrams, Gore, Hassel, Wood, into Michael King.
And
Kyle
Higashioka.
And a couple of like nice prospects, but not on the level of Hassel or Wood, not even close.
Are you surprised this got done before Ohtani?
Not really.
Okay. Just different kinds of, kinds of moves.
It is. It's easier to get a trade done. Like the Ohtani thing, baseball writers are complaining about the fact that it's all being done behind the scenes because they don't have anything to write about or talk about with regards to Ohtani's free agency. They can't turn it into content like the NBA and NFL off seasons are content.
Yeah.
And it's just frustrating to Buster Olney and the Tim Kirkjians of the world. But here, have some grist for the mill. Juan Soto, you could argue the best hitter in baseball.
Right. In the conversation.
Yes. has just been traded for packing peanuts.
Yeah, it's crazy.
And the Padres are throwing Trent Grisham in the deal too. And he ain't chopped liver. He's won a Gold Glove. He's one of the best defensive center fielders in baseball. Now, he hit 198 last year.
Yeah.
That's not awesome. He's not going to start for the Yankees. They're going to have this other guy in center field next year, Aaron Judge. Maybe you've heard of him. But now they can get Judge off his feet in the 7th inning and go put a Gold Glove defensive center fielder in one of the more cavernous center fields in baseball. It's a great trade for the Yankees. As loath as I am to praise Brian Cashman, the Yankees,
It's a good trade.
they got a hell of a player, and they're a lot more serious now than they were at any point last year, where they just were kind of an unserious baseball team.
Meanwhile, some Royals baseball news today. They selected right-hand pitcher Matthew Sauer from the Yankees in the major league phase of the Rule 5 draft. They had to trade a player away to make room for the Rule 5 draft pick, and that was Dylan Coleman. The high-velocity reliever has been sent to the Houston Astros in exchange for minor league righty Carlos Mateo. And that freed up the room to acquire Matthew Sauer, who a year ago, across 3 different levels of the minors, rookie ball, high A, and double A, 6-5 record, 3.41 ERA, struggled mightily in a couple of outings in the Arizona Fall League. But, I mean, overall, it's a lottery, like a slightly better odds lottery ticket. So, I mean, it is what it is. You're only hoping for so much when it comes to Rule 5 guys most of the time. Honestly, what you're hoping for is the last Rule 5 guy who became something for the Royals. That was Brad Keller. And say what you will about the last 2 years of Brad Keller when the wheels just completely fell off. He had a couple of really good seasons for Kansas City. So maybe I hope he turns into a piece like that. One other piece of baseball news. This is more... The meaning of this news is more of a rumor, but it is news itself. Jerry Reinsdorf, the owner of the Chicago White Sox, also at the winter meetings. Unsurprising, a lot of owners go to the winter meetings along with other baseball ops personnel. And he met with the mayor of Nashville, which you might say, okay, maybe they just like crossed paths. Maybe they're just a couple of old rich guys who felt like maybe they're old friends from some reason. Or maybe it has something to do with Nashville is desperate to get a Major League Baseball team like no other city in America is. They want a baseball team badly. They probably want one worse than Vegas does.
No, 100%.
And Vegas is getting one. And Jerry Reinsdorf has also been very open about being very mysterious about what he wants to do with the White Sox when their current stadium lease runs out in a few years.
He almost moved him to Tampa St. Pete in the late 80s. Like, Tropicana Field was built, I think, late 80s, early 90s.
Intending to get the White Sox.
Yes, with the idea, well, the White Sox were the Giants. I believe the Giants were also very close at one point to moving to Tampa St. Pete. But yeah, that's like, there's a lot of history with regards to the White Sox and, hey, maybe we'll move. And then when they got the new Comiskey, that kind of put that all to bed for a really, really long time. Well, the new Comiskey is what, about 30 years old now when it opened, 92, 91?
Somewhere around there. Yeah.
So yeah, it's about 30 years old now. And that's about when owners get a little antsy about, well, maybe I'd like a new palace for my sports concern.
91.
That's about what I figured.
Yeah.
I'd like a new palace for my baseball team, and I'd like the public to build it for me. And if they don't, I'll move.
I will tell you this about Jerry Reinsdorf, and it's going to sound very mean, and I would like to make it clear I intend it to be very mean. He is a very bad owner. I don't think he's a very good guy, and I apologize to Chicago White Sox fans. I hope he moves the team, and then I hope he's sad and alone forever. Don't take the Bulls, though. Just sell them. Leave the machine. He doesn't even care about the Bulls. He's never cared about the Bulls. His team's sucking enough to luck into Michael Jordan is the only reason he hasn't been run out of Chicago on a rail already.
That's a fact.
So, yeah, that's your latest updates from the winter meetings down in Nashville.
You're telling me he's a Michael Jordan merchant.
Yes, quite literally. Imagine owning 2 sports franchises, only actually caring about one of them, and still not even spending money on that team. Imbecile. I only root for one of his teams. I can't even imagine my friends who root for both. Good Lord. Misery.
Let's get some NFL headlines as we continue our 580 Sports Talk headlines here on this edition of the program. Zach is back, Jack. Zach Wilson will start at quarterback for the New York Jets when they take on the Houston Texans on Sunday. After 2 days of what Rich Cimini of ESPN calls speculation and palace intrigue. Remember, 2 weeks ago, Zach Wilson was benched in favor of Tim Boyle. And on Sunday, Boyle was benched in favor of Trevor Siemian. And then there were reports earlier this week that the Jets would like to start Zach Wilson. But Zach himself was not super keen on the idea of returning to be the starting quarterback for whatever reason. There was speculation he had some concerns about injury or that maybe his heart just wasn't in it. That was the speculation. But turns out it will be Zach Wilson. He will start at quarterback when the Jets, who are 4-8 on the season, take on the Houston Texans. The Jets have always been a bad vibes franchise. Like their entire history, they have been my entire life. I shouldn't say their entire. I mean, they won Super Bowl III, one of the most famous games in the history of football. Broadway Joe Namath, all that. That's part of their history too. They were a great AFL franchise. They won Super Bowl III, one of the most famous games in the history of sports. Never mind professional football. My entire life, the 90s, the 2000s, the 2010s, they have been the bad vibes franchise. Even when it looked like things might start to go right for the Jets, there was always disaster lurking around the corner. Remember when Vinny Testaverde took him to the AFC Championship game? I want to say that was 2001. They lost to Baltimore.
Would that have been 2001?
2000 or 2000? Man, 2000 or 2001.
That would have been 2000.
Yes, 2000. 2000.
Or... would it have been? No, I gotta go find this.
Or was it 2002 that
you might be onto something in 2002.
Yeah, it was 2002. They went to an AFC Championship game, and Vinny Testaverde was the quarterback, and it was 98. Sorry, I'm completely
further
wrong.
back.
Yeah, I had to go further back. 98. They go to the AFC Championship game, they lose. They made the playoffs in 2001 and 2002, but they made the playoffs. They went 12-4 in 98, and they go to the conference championship game and they lose. You know what happens in the week 1 of next season? Testaverde tears his Achilles. So that's the history. Nothing good can happen for the Jets without bad lurking right around the corner. Yeah. The sweet will always turn sour. And so it is again with this particular iteration of the Jets, who had hope that Aaron Rodgers would be the piece that took them over the top. Entirely reasonable hope at that, because Aaron Rodgers, not that far removed from MVP caliber play, and a Jets team that went 7-10 with Zach Wilson at quarterback. Aaron Rodgers felt like at least a 3-win upgrade, if not more.
Yeah.
And he played 4 snaps. And this is what the season has become for the Jets. But Zach Wilson is going to be the quarterback. Meanwhile, the Minnesota Vikings are going to stick with Josh Dobbs. I don't see what choice they have, but Dobbs has been a little loose with the football the last couple of weeks for the Vikings. 6 turnovers in the last 2 games. The Vikings have lost them both, but he will start, according to head coach Kevin O'Connell. Dobbs will start against the Raiders in Vegas on Sunday. Some other NFL notes. Mike McCarthy had appendicitis. The head coach of the Dallas Cowboys underwent successful surgery today after being diagnosed with acute appendicitis. He will be released from the hospital today and anticipates being on the sideline Sunday in the biggest game of the Cowboys season when they take on the Philadelphia Eagles on Sunday Night Football. As someone who has had an acute appendicitis and had the operation, I don't know that I would have felt up to stalking an NFL sideline 5 days after that.
Maybe he'll be like Hugh Freeze in that, what was it? Who was it Liberty facing when he had to coach the game from the
he was coaching
press
from
box?
The hospital bed?
Yeah.
down on the press box. So that is a bit of news regarding the Cowboys. And then there's this, your boy, Mason Crosby.
Yeah.
The greatest kicker in Packers history, with all due respect to the Polish Hammer, Chester Markle. He has been signed to the Rams practice squad, and there's a possibility that he could play as early as Sunday against the Baltimore Ravens. The Rams have been through a couple of kickers this year. They had Brett Maher to start the season. Can't believe that didn't work out. Lucas.
Wow.
I'm just saying, man.
Damn.
I'm just saying. Lucas Havrasik has been kicking for the Rams lately, but he's missed 2 field goals and an extra point in the Rams' last 2 games. Rams are very much in a playoff push at 6-6 in the NFC West.
Yeah, I'm happy for Mason Crosby. I mean, he can still go. He isn't well, I mean, he might have to handle kickoffs. He doesn't have the greatest leg anymore. I mean, he's kicked for a long time. He was a rookie in 2007, I believe it was. Inside of 40, he's still going to be damn near automatic.
24 of 25 inside 50 yards last year.
Yeah.
Didn't re-sign with the Packers. They decided to move on, and Crosby's been chilling.
And frankly, if the Rams do end up sneaking into the playoffs, and they're certainly not out of it at this point, you want a guy who's used to kicking in the elements? Yeah, go get a guy who kicked for 15 or 16 years in Green Bay. That's probably going to work out for you. No, I'm happy for him. One other NFL note. This is pretty scary. Hayden Hurst, tight end for the Carolina Panthers, fairly well-traveled tight end at this point in his career. His dad, Jerry Hurst, put on Twitter today, Hayden has been diagnosed with post-traumatic amnesia by an independent neurologist as a result of the hit he took in Chicago on November 9th. Slow recovery. Don't know when he'll be back. Prayers appreciated. Post-traumatic amnesia sounds horrific.
Yeah, that doesn't sound pleasant at all.
Hayden Hurst has been through a lot in his career. Started as a minor league baseball player before going back to college at South Carolina to play football. Has had a nice career. He's a nice player. But I know he's had some mental health issues he's dealt with during his career. And now that is scary stuff. So that's your latest NFL update. Some updates from the college football coaching world. We told you yesterday during headlines that Bronco Mendenhall was likely to become the new head coach at New Mexico. Well, that's now official. 5-year contract for Bronco Mendenhall at New Mexico. That's one of the hardest jobs in the country. We'll get to another one here in a moment. He's a good coach, though. I think it'll work out. Defensive-minded head coach. That's probably good for that program. They haven't won more than 4 games in 7 years. Not a great spot for the Lobos recently. Meanwhile, another move from the Mountain West. Craig Bohl, longtime coach of Wyoming. Before that, he was the architect of the supernova that was the start of the North Dakota State dynasty at the FCS level.
Of course, handed the program off to Chris Kleiman.
Yep. He has announced, and the program has announced, he is going to retire following Wyoming versus Toledo in the Arizona Bowl coming up just before New Year's. The defensive coordinator for Wyoming, Jay Sovell, is going to replace him. That has already been announced.
Craig Bohl, heck of a run as a head coach. And I'm not a young man. I believe he's in his mid to late 60s.
I believe you're correct about that.
10 years at Wyoming, a tough place to have consistent success.
Mm-hmm.
And Craig Bohl managed to have that team play pretty good football over the course of his 10 years. Never won a conference championship, but dead even 500 football for Craig Bohl in 10 seasons, 60 up, 60 down. The 3 coaches prior to him have winning percentages of 435, 423, and 147. Shout out to Vic Koenig.
Wow.
So, yeah, hard to win there. Dana Dimmel pulled it off. Joe Tiller pulled it off. Bob Devaney won pretty big there in 5 years. That's a College Football Hall of Famer for you, but also a very different time. Craig Bohl got him to 6 bowl games in 10 years and engineered some big wins along the way, beat Texas Tech in double overtime earlier this year. So, good, really, really good coaching career for Craig Bohl. He's 65 years old.
It's hard to win in Laramie, man.
I was always surprised he didn't get a more serious look for the Nebraska gig.
I was reading today from some Wyoming fans that was always kind of the assumption that he went from North Dakota State to Wyoming, was hoping to have, 1 or 2 10-win seasons and then jump to Nebraska. Didn't quite work out that way.
Yeah, he slip started at Wyoming. He went 4-8 and 2-10 his first years at Wyoming. And if those years go better for him, maybe he's who they pick to replace Bo Pelini or Mike Riley.
Maybe. Certainly possible. What do you got next?
Final headline of the day for me today. We're going to go back to the Chiefs injury report.
Okay.
The Chiefs today, we spelled it out a little bit for you in the 3:00 hour, but did want to spell out again that Isaiah Pacheco did not practice today. He's got a shoulder contusion. They expect him to be able to practice, albeit on a limited basis, the rest of the week. I'm not sure that at this point it's a concern about his availability for Sunday, but he got checked out today, so no practice for Pacheco. Donovan Smith did not practice, working through a stinger. We're going to hear from Andy Reid here after this, and it sounds like that might be a concern for Donovan Smith's availability for Sunday. Drew Tranquil still in the concussion protocol and did not practice as well. So also a Chiefs fan was named the Time Person of the Year today. So the Chiefs have that going for them.
I was just reading through it. It's a nice piece that Time wrote about Taylor Swift.
Yes.
It's a nice read.
Yeah. Yeah. Shout out to Taylor.
Seems very supportive of Travis Kelce.
Yes. Yes, she does. Into football now. Had no idea what she was missing all these years.
What was I just had it in front of me a moment ago. Football is awesome, it turns out. I've been missing out my whole life.
Man, by next year, she's going to know the difference between cover 2 and cover 3 and all that.
Taylor, let's talk triple option. Come on the show.
She's going to listen to Robert Mays' podcast, the whole thing.
Get ready to learn the flex bone, buddy. All right,
we're going to follow Bill Barnwell on Twitter.
We've got to get to a break and become a huge Ben Baldwin fan. We've got to get to a break. We'll come on back. We'll hear from Andy Reid here on 580 Sports Talk. Brendan and Dan here with you on 580 Sports Talk. Real quick, one other headline to get to. If I told you that for next year's college basketball recruiting class, 2 of the top 3 players in the class are going to the same school, what school would you think they were going to?
Duke or Kentucky?
Yeah, Duke, Kentucky. What if I told you Rutgers?
That's right.
Yeah, that's for real. 2 of the top 3 players in the class of 2024 for college basketball are committed to Rutgers. Dylan Harper, son of Ron Harper,
whose other son played at Rutgers.
Yeah, it was a hell of a college basketball player at Rutgers. He committed today to Steve Peichel and the Scarlet Knights. Earlier on in this process, the number 3 player in the class from Georgia, Ace Bailey, he is also headed to Rutgers. That is bananas.
Kind of NIL bags are they dropping at Rutgers all of a sudden?
That is absolutely crazy. Like, I'm looking through right now, Duke, Carolina, Texas,
like
KU, Kentucky.
Like, good for Rutgers, good for Steve Peichel, who seems like a really good coach. Rutgers has been like a tournament team interesting team in the Big 12, Big 10 the last couple of years. This program ain't got no history, and they play in a dump, man. Like, their arena stinks. Like, there's not like a. What is the appeal of Rutgers all of a sudden? Like, good for those kids. I don't want to rain on the parade. I'm just surprised.
I get it for Harper, at least. His brother played there.
Yeah.
He's from New Jersey. I get it. But also, like, dude, you could have gone anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
He's a good player. Really good player. All right, speaking of good players, let's talk a little Kansas City Chiefs. And specifically, let's hear from Andy Reid. Big Red spoke earlier on today. Let's hear what the head chief had to say this afternoon at One Arrowhead Drive.
Injuries go. Pacheco actually came in with a shoulder contusion. We'll see how he works out here. He's going to have that checked, so he won't work out today. So Brian Cook with the ankle sprain, he's being evaluated still. And then Donovan Smith has a neck stinger. Drew Tranquil is still in concussion protocol. So those guys will not practice today. We'll just see down the road here how that all goes. I don't have dates. I don't do that anyway. So with that, we look forward to the challenge of playing the Bills. Obviously a good football team, and they're familiar with us. We're familiar with them, and it should be, like I said, a heck of a football game. So with that, time's yours.
Those first two drives offensively, what went wrong in the red zone, in your opinion, now that you have a chance to look back at?
Yeah, you know what? The first drive, I could help the guys out with the calls. And then the second drive, we had the penalty. So, but we can fix all that stuff. We'll get that taken care of. You're right. We need to score touchdowns there, not field goals.
Andy, more often than not, in the years that Patrick has been the starter, you've had a stretch where you've lost 3 or 5 games, like you are right now, and you kind of came out of it pretty well. What are some of the keys to when there's been a month, 6-week stretch?
This league's crazy right now. I mean, it's week to week. I think we understand that. I mentioned, a few weeks ago, San Francisco. Everybody, when we were in Germany, San Francisco was on a 3-game skid. So, and now they're playing well. Denver, same thing, and they're playing well. So, you go back and you do a better job coaching. You focus in a little bit more playing on the players playing and doing their jobs. And so, but those are things you can control and keep a positive attitude doing it. Learn from your mistakes and stay positive with it.
Andy, you had a bigger sample size this last week from Wanya Morris. Just wanted to get your thoughts on how he did.
Yeah. I actually thought he did a nice job for just stepping in there. He's obviously a talented kid, and he's got good strength, good feet. So there's a good chance he's in there again this week. So we'll see. See how it all rolls.
Would you have faith in him to start if Donovan can't go?
Yeah, I would. Mm-hmm.
Andy, on tape review, when you see what happened with Sky and this route, MBS had one where he's kind of turned around. Is there anything you guys are seeing there that be a quick fix going forward? Is this something like, what are you observing?
I thought it was more just being on the same page with each other, and that's a little bit of a unique play that, we check to. I'm talking about for Sky. And then, with MVS, I think just more he keeps playing. He's been in and out, and try to keep him in there a little bit more so he stays in the flow with things. I think he'll be all right. Pat came back to him on the controversial one.
What are y'all seeing from?
Any other thoughts on that, Andy?
Yeah.
You want to expand? Just wanted to ask.
Coach, Patrick said last week that one of the things you said to him during the bye week was to trust his receivers. That's one of the things that came back to him. What does that look like for you? What would be the vision?
Yeah, listen. It's we lost a game. Offensively, though, it was picked up a little bit from where we've been. And you're going to have incomplete pass. There are going to be some incompletes. But he's trusting the guys. He's putting it out there to them and letting them go get it. And ended up with a pretty good day. Other than we didn't score enough points, we got to take care of the red zone. So and I'll take the responsibility for that. So I thought he threw the ball well. I thought the receivers did a nice job catching the ball when they had opportunities to catch the ball. Every throw is not going to be a perfect throw, and so on. So, but yeah, I thought he did a decent job.
When you talk about 2-point conversion in the third quarter, you did that earlier, and you tend to do those kinds of things. Just curious what you were thinking there.
Yeah. Well, I wanted to tie the score, first of all, and then it didn't work. So, but early enough in the game where you take care of business down the road, and you make up for that. But that was the time to do it. So we got to do better with it.
What are y'all seeing from Buffalo this week with their own struggles coming in off their bye week?
Yeah, they listen. Their numbers are really good offensively and defensively in certain areas, very good. So they've been a little bit up and down, and they're working through that. So but they're a talented football team and a good football team, one we respect, and that we've got to make sure we take care of business this week in practice to get ready for them.
Coach, this receiving group that you have is under a microscope. Seems like they're magnified, week after week. What have you learned about that group? Is it as far as like mentally, are they where they need to be?
Yeah, they seem to be. Yeah, I don't know how much they read on the microscope part, but they're trying to get better every day. So that's the important thing.
I'm sure you've been in this situation from the offensive perspective, but for Spags putting together a plan this week against a team that just changed its offensive coordinator, how much of that is ignoring the first 10 weeks and just really focusing on the last 2 to get a feel for what they are and what they're doing?
Yeah, there's some differences, but there's also some of the same things that they didn't completely can the offense there. So, but I think I'll have a good feel, for what they do best, and so on. Yeah.
Andy, you mentioned in the first 3 quarters, you guys moved the ball pretty well. The fourth quarter, when you look at the final drive, I realize it's always going to be a small sample size when you're just looking at one drive. But how do you execute better on just final drive situations this year in general?
Yeah, well, we needed to score, and we didn't do that. So we've got to do a better job there. Yeah, and a lot of those come down to catching the ball, throwing the ball, blocking up front. It's mostly the passing game part. So we've got to make plays when given the opportunity. From all 3 parties on the field.
Andy, Green Bay scored a touchdown on the first 2 possessions, obviously, the other day, similar to what happened in Vegas. I mean, they missed a field goal, obviously, in between. But is there any common theme, maybe, in what's going on defensively early in games? Yeah,
well, we've got to make sure we fix that. We've been doing better than that, and so we're working on it. I'm not going to tell you, but we've got to fix that. To answer your question.
Last one, Aaron. Jarrett McKinnon, Nick Bolton, 2 guys you didn't mention earlier. How close are they to returning?
Yeah, they're close. Yeah. They'll practice today.
That's Andy Reid. I thought he really was just going to end that last one with very close and just end with some silence. That would have been funny. But good to hear for both of them because they're both going to be very important pieces for this offense and defense for Bolton's sake.
Man, particularly Bolton. I don't think you want to go into this Bills game with Jack Cochran having to hawk down Josh Allen on scrambles.
No, that doesn't sound very fun for the Chiefs defense. We've got to get to a break. On the other side of this timeout, though, we'll get you some final thoughts on last night's college hoops action and a wild day in Manhattan, Kansas. That's up next on 580 Sports Talk. Finishing things up on 580 Sports Talk on this Wednesday afternoon. We've got a busy show coming your way tomorrow. Mitch Holtis will join us. We'll get an update. Hopefully Mitch is feeling better this week. So we'll hear from Mitch. We'll talk to Rick Peterson. We've got our Big 12 breakdown with Paul Meyerberg. All of that is coming up tomorrow between 2 and 6 right here on 580 Sports Talk. Big day in Manhattan, Kansas. And the third biggest story by a mile is the fact that K-State beat Villanova last night on a step-back three with under 4 seconds to go to win by 1 in overtime.
It really was a cold-blooded shot by Tyler Perry. The ability to compartmentalize and put aside that he was 1 for 9 from 3 in that game before that and say, hey, I'm going 2 for 10. You watch. And draining it over the big man on the step back. That was cold-blooded. That took some stones from Tyler Perry, and he has those in those big moments, and they can't be taught. You either have that, you have that ability to come up in the clutch, or you don't. And it's certainly served K-State real well. They've had to pull some games out of the fire that maybe they shouldn't have had to pull out of the fire last night. Much more evenly matched game, and K-State once again finding a way, pulling it out in overtime, and getting the win. And the one cool after the game, Jerome Tang's been known to hop in the student section after games, do the Wabash with the kids. He's done that a time or two. Not after every game. I didn't see him go up and do it after Oral Roberts, right?
Yeah.
But this is a big game, big moment, huge student section. Like, student section was tremendous last night at Bramlage. And Jerome Tang went up in the crowd to Wabash with the students, which is a pretty cool thing, pretty neat thing that he does. I had not seen before the rest of the team follow him spontaneously. Hey, we're going to go do this too. We're going to go jump in with our classmates, and we're going to celebrate as a team. And I just thought it was such a neat thing and so emblematic of what Jerome Tang has brought to that program. Like, when I go to a KU game at Allen Fieldhouse, what I feel at Allen Fieldhouse is you feel the history in that building.
Mm-hmm.
You feel all those names on the wall, all those championship banners, those conference championship banners. You feel that history. Like there are ghosts in that building. And I firmly believe that building has won KU games. And I know that it has because I've heard Bill Self say that that building has won them games. And that's what you feel when you're in that building. That's what makes a big part of what makes KU basketball special is that history, is that tradition, is that feeling that we've got a sixth man in our building that's going to get us over the line. And in Bramlage, I think in the lean years, maybe you don't feel quite what you can feel in that building now, but it's a feeling of community. It's a feeling of togetherness that I think that Jerome Tang has inspired with his program and with the students, with the alumni, with the fans, where it's like you're in a tug of war match and everybody's pulling on the rope in the same direction. And you're pulling against, if you're in that building playing the Wildcats, you're not just pulling against 12 basketball players, you're pulling against all 11,000 people in that building. And I just think it's really neat what Jerome Tang has created in such a short amount of time. And I just have a great deal of admiration for that. And it makes it a really special atmosphere to be a part of. I was lucky to be there last night.
Heck of a game. Seriously, I was watching while at the KU game. I had it on my laptop next to me, and it was an enthralling game. Not to swing this from a net positive to an obvious negative, but asking this to sort of put a bow on one of the big stories of the day, knowing that neither of us are tied in, like a Tim Fitzgerald is tied in, but just, being friends with Fitz, reading the message boards, reading the reporting from today. Do you think Naquan Tomlin plays another game for K-State?
Man.
Just a hunch.
My hunch right now is, in listening to Fitz talk about it, that even though this is right now, it feels like it's a power struggle. And right now it feels like President Linton is pretty dug in on this, that maybe this is one, if it were just Linton versus Tang, maybe Linton wins that particular power struggle. But the more it becomes the president versus the campus, before it becomes the president against public sentiment, and now that's where it's headed, those are battles that eventually are conceded by the power structure. So and maybe that's me being naive, and maybe that's me being not cynical enough in this case. And I'm not a cynic by nature. I hope that the answer is yes, that Naquan Tomlin is back on the floor for K-State, and sooner rather than later. I really hope that's the case. But yeah, it's not the conversation and the sentiment are not in a good spot right now for anybody involved. And there needs to be some kind of resolution so that the basketball program and Naquan Tomlin can move on.
Yeah, I think I'm in the same boat. I hope that he is on the court as soon as possible for basketball reasons. I don't know enough about the rest. I do have a fairly pessimistic view of it just because this feels like a lot of sides that are really dug in at this point. So we'll see how it unfolds. We have one more break to get to, and then we'll wrap up 580 Sports Talk with the final word next. Time to wrap up 580 Sports Talk. Let's get to the final word. Dan Lucero.
Colin Klein leaving Kansas State to take the offensive coordinator job at Texas A&M is a huge blow to K-State. Klein was really growing into the role in his second season. He engineered a offense that was one of the very best by any statistical metric in the entire country. But it shows further where we are headed in the college football landscape, that even the Big 12 isn't the big leagues anymore. You have the SEC and the Big 10, and then you have everything else. And those leagues and those schools are going to spend the money and have the resources to get the best of the best. And yes, that includes the K-State alum Colin Klein. K-State will recover. I think if Connor Riley's their guy, I think he can do a really nice job. He's very well respected and a good recruiter. But this is proof that there is the big leagues, there's the SEC and the Big 10, there's the Big 2, and then there's everyone else in college football.
Final word for me is that whatever ends up happening with this Naquan Tomlin situation, and we've talked about it a bunch over the course of the day, it's just not a great look to have any number of students out there protesting something that your president at a university is doing. And I don't know, Richard Linton, I don't know all the details that go into this, but it's just not a good look. And especially when the basketball players are continuing to pile on and are going out and joining those protesters, even for a moment in time, seems like a messy situation. And I hope every side can come to an agreement here soon, because I don't want it to get any uglier over at K-State. We're back tomorrow from 2 until 6. Until then, for Jake, for Dan, I'm Brendan. This has been 580 Sports Talk.